Hey, and welcome back to the number one podcast in the world, the Cellarcast, episode 174. Isn't that so silly? I just checked.
Yeah, you checked it in real time.
Yeah. This is a special Tigan and Cat episode.
Yep, I'm here.
We are currently house sitting for my mom, who is out of town. And so we're spending the week. It's like a little vacation for the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
We've been here for a few nights, and we need something to kill time before Nosferatu Flow drops on Peacock, the streaming service. I'm gonna turn the volume down real quick. What was that? Yeah, so we're gonna record a podcast because also, I was going to let's see. I mean, the goal is that I record these on a Sunday, but Sunday I was finishing the video.
Busy as fuck.
Yeah, so I put up that video and I kind of knew it wasn't going to do well, but I was glad that it was finished. And I was like, finally. That took me way too long to make. I was in like a weird creative funk for the last month and a half about, and getting a video done, even if it took too long, feels nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, how's your past week been, honey?
What did I do this past week?
How much do you do in a day?
Like not much.
You kind of lounge around. You're kind of a lounger.
I did do some voice acting.
You did?
That was like the past week, technically.
Yeah, you came over to my house to record a voice acting thing for a friend?
For a friend that is working on some animation related project for college.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if I can talk much about it, but
yeah, she signed an NDA.
I don't know. No, there was no NDA, but I want to keep it a surprise.
She's gonna get arrested.
I'm gonna get fucking shot.
Yeah, I got pissed off because Kat came over to my house to record it with my immaculate audio setup of my $100 Blue Yeti USB microphone and my $20 pop filter. And I was like, okay, don't worry, I'll take care of like the audio touch-ups to like make it usable for like a voice acting thing. And so I did what I do on my videos, and I reduce the noise, and I basically make it really compressed because did I rant about this to you?
Maybe?
At the time? So basically, okay, are we good now? Okay, yeah, I think the microphone unplugged for a second. What was it? Right. So when you say that that audio is very compressed, that's not referring to the it's not referring to like, I don't know, like compressed, like low quality.
Sure.
What it means is that it's the noise is extremely isolated of the voice. And I was like, that's what I'm gonna do, because when you are doing something for voice acting, I mean, that's why there's so much soundproofing. Mm-hmm. That's what audio engineers do.
There's like people that are in that soundproof walls.
So that you like insert it. An engineer can then take it and insert it into the scene in a way that sounds correct for the environment the character should be in. Mm-hmm. And you sent it to your friend, and they said it sounded a little muffled. And I was like, fucking don't know. You don't know. You're supposed to fucking give it treatment, to give it reverb if they're in an outdoor scene, or else it sounds like fucking the Ada Wong DLC for Resident Evil 4 remake. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. That's actually a really good example of that. Of that specific issue. Because it sounds like she recorded it in a closet at her home.
Which she probably did.
She probably did, because it was like COVID. And there's scenes in that DLC where she's like outside in a courtyard, and she's talking on the phone, and it sounds like she's in a room. Yeah. And once you hear it, it's like really hard not to notice it. Anyway, I don't want to be mean.
I'm sure that they won't find this podcast.
Well, they'll know. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You gotta know. They're clearly like more of an animator. So
they're definitely more of an animator. So
it's not their forte.
It's not my forte either. I'm just the one doing the voice.
Maybe they should hire me to do the audio for it. Jesus. I'll fucking do it for you. Yeah. So last night, Kat was really kind and let me go to my stupid trading card game meetup, the locals.
It's okay. I spent the night just watching Scooby-Doo. So
When I came home, she was asleep watching Scooby-Doo. It was very cute.
I was.
I was thinking back on it, and I want to talk a little bit about it because it was an interesting experience.
Okay.
I told you a little bit about the event.
About it.
But it was my first draft event.
Mm-hmm.
So the way the card game drafts work, for anyone who isn't familiar, is that however many people at a table, usually like 8 max, 4 or 8 maximum, everybody opens a certain number of card packs, in our case 3, and then you open them one at a time, and then you take one card out of the pack, and then you pass it to the person next to you, and then you go around until everybody has around like 50 something cards, and then you play with a deck of 30. So you basically take the stuff for your build.
Right.
So you're drafting cards on the spot, and I've always heard, hey, drafting's really fun. It's a really fun format to play in card games. And coming from Yu-Gi-Oh, draft does not work in Yu-Gi-Oh because the way that the game adds new cards is like sets come out and there's support for archetypes that are like 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That like it literally does not work if you don't have the other cards. So it was actually really fun. I kind of screwed up because generally the way that Flesh and Blood does their expansion sets, this was specifically a draft event for the most recent set called The Hunted, and they tend to kind of release sets with a focus on a couple classes.
Mm-hmm.
So for this one, it was warriors, ninjas, and assassins. And I did not really keep up too much with the set, and I also don't play any of those classes. So I sat down and I was like, okay, my plan is I am just going to try to draft for a ninja, because ninjas are like just really aggro, like rushdown types.
Right.
So I get like halfway through drafting and I realize, shit, most of my deck I accidentally picked up assassin cards.
Uh-huh.
Because in my mind, semantically, a ninja is a type of assassin.
Sure.
So I was like, fuck. So now I have to start drafting for an assassin, which are like way more technical and weird and complicated. So I have not really played assassins much, but I ended up doing kind of okay with what I pulled out. I had a really, I'll say interesting. So it actually worked out for me because most people at the table drafted for ninjas.
Uh-huh.
And that means that if everyone's drafting for one type of deck, there's less cards to go around for them.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of carte blanche on the assassin cards, and I built like a somewhat okay deck. They're a fun class because you have to like, you get a lot of mileage out of bluffing. Because one of their main deals is they have a lot of what are called attack reactions, which are cards that you can play to modify the attack you played earlier in the chain before it goes through, but after the opponent declares what they're going to block with. So you can add double or triple the damage that you're throwing at them unless they have a defense reaction to play after that. So I ended up playing against a guy who is kind of an infamous slow player at the store. And there was at one point where we were really low. It was like he was at 4 and I think I was at 3. And I just threw like a dagger at him that had one attack. And I had like 3 other cards in my hand and 1 card in my arsenal, which is like a 5th hand slot, essentially. And he sat there for like 5 minutes. Considering like
thinking about it,
how much, because like he's like, how much should I block, because he didn't have any defense reactions, So he's like, should I just preemptively block like 7 damage? And he's like, I can hear him muttering under his breath, like doing math, like, hey, you could put that on like 4 plus 3. And I was like, and I was just like, and he's like, do you have any, what did he's like, how many do you have in hand? I was like, 3. And he's like, how much is that coming in for? I'm like, 1 right now. And he dropped his entire hand to block preemptively, and I had no follow-up. So I was like, oh, thank God, because I had like not a great hand.
What a close call.
Yeah. And in Fab, you draw at the end of you draw up at the end of your turn.
Mm-hmm.
So if you force someone to block with their whole hand, and then you pass the turn to them, they have like no cards to play.
Okay.
So they have to basically forfeit the turn and just pass back to you. So there's like a tempo thing. I lost by like a hair because I my last 2 hands of the game like totally bricked out. But it was really fun. And my point is not that I'm especially good, but that anyone can do it.
Thank you, Gusto.
Oh, like from Ratatouille?
Yeah. Anyone can cook.
Anyone can, and I was cooking. I was cooking a little bit. He literally said, he said like the first turn we played, I had turn 1, and I threw like 2 damage at him, and then I like boosted it with attack reactions to like 10, and he was like, you can do that? And I was like, yeah, I guess. And that's why he was so freaked the fuck out about whenever I just threw like a little dagger at him. Because he was like, fuck. Like he got like PTSD from it. Oh. That's like, yeah. Fun game. I love Flesh and Blood. The next expansion is about pirates.
Cool.
Thanks. I can tell you care a lot.
Yeah, for a game I've never played.
Thank you. I love you, baby.
I love you too.
Thanks for letting me go out and do my nerd thing.
I had a night to myself. It's
yeah.
fine.
In any event, we have actually quite a bit to talk about. A lot of movies, which is Katrina's forte.
So this is like a perfect podcast to be on.
Yeah, but before we talk about that, I want to give a quick shout out to a video game.
All right.
Actually, you might be interested in this.
Okay.
It's a little indie game that I've had my eye on for a bit. It's called Ruffy and the Riverside.
All right.
So, it's like a Mario 64 style 3D platformer.
Okay.
And the art style is like Paper Mario, where all the characters are like flat paper, and you can see like the paper where they're drawn in. And every single frame of animation is like a different drawing. Like it's and you can see, it's really charming. Like you can see it's actually like it's supposed to be like markers, I think. So as characters move, you can literally see the different frames they're animated. You can see the weight of the marker is different. Like it's darker and then lighter as they're moving around in the same spot.
This. It's really interesting.
Well,
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's just like, I was just like, oh, what's this? So here's the sell. Here's what sold me on it.
Okay.
I saw a teaser trailer for it on social media months ago, and it's the main character, who is a little bear fox thing named Ruffy, and there's a waterfall, and there's a star at the top of the waterfall that you need to collect, and you're like, how do I get up the waterfall? Because you just pass right through the water. So there's these vines behind the waterfall, and you can climb on the vines against the wall, but it doesn't lead up to the top. So you like point a cursor or like a little reticle at the vines, and then you like a little ball of light like zoom into your hand, and then you toss the ball onto the waterfall, and the waterfall turns into the vines.
Okay.
Like the texture changes essentially, like the visual, and then you can climb up the waterfall because now it's vines.
Sounds neat.
And I was like, that's really cool. So a demo for it came out last week, and I played it. It took me about 80-90 minutes, and it's really cool. It's like one of those. It's like a classic. I call it like a playground style, where there's like a big connecting hub world, but there's individual more like condensed levels that have like a bunch of stuff to do in them, and a bunch of different stars within them to collect.
Yeah, there's plenty of 3D platforms that are like that.
Yeah,
that have that kind of overarching overworld.
Yeah, and the main mechanic is that not everything, but a lot of stuff in the world, like 60 to 70% of things in the world, you can point at and like copy a property from them. So like,
it's like drawn to life, I guess.
Sort of. It'll be like, okay, so there's a thing with like the vines, right? That's a very immediate example. There was another puzzle where there's like these two red, like they're like these chutes, like chimneys or something, and you hop on one and you come out on the other one, like a Mario pipe. And I walked like the other direction, and I found that there's like another cliff that you can't get up to, with another collectible on it, and there's a purple pipe, and I was like, hang on, wait, and I was looking around for something purple, and there's like a little bird nearby the red pipes, and you point and you can copy the bird's purple color, and then toss it onto one of the red pipes, and then you hop on the now purple pipe, and you come out on the other purple pipe on the cliff, and you can collect the thing.
That's cool.
And I was like, that's cool as hell. And the whole game is like little puzzles like that. It's really fun and charming and cute. It's called Ruffy in the Riverside, and it has a demo that you can play.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, it's cool. It's probably in your Steam library because we share one.
Library.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out then. Yeah.
Yeah. Looked fun. Now that's done. We watched a bunch of movies and things with our eyeballs over the past week or two.
Yeah, that was a lot of stuff.
So Kat was really excited about Dogman.
I was. I don't know. I grew up reading Dave Pilkey stuff. So I decided let's watch the other Dave Pilkey Dreamworks movie.
His mom was a Pepsi. His dad was a Milk. They made Pilkey. Milky and Pepsi.
Oh.
Pilkey, yeah. So yeah, to prepare me for. Had you seen the Captain Underpants movie before?
In theaters once.
When did that come out?
2017.
Okay, we were in high school.
Yeah.
I had not seen it before. I had also read the Captain Underpants books. I had a couple of them when I was a kid.
I had a handful of them, yeah.
Yeah. So in order to prepare me for Dogman, Kat gave me a special screening of the Captain Underpants movie. And I really liked it. I didn't quite know what to expect. What studio was it? Dreamworks?
Dreamworks, yeah. Both of these are Dreamworks, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't exactly sure. So you take me to a lot of baby movies.
Sure do.
So I'm like, okay. I mean, sometimes I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's not for me.
Yeah, I feel like that's 90% of the animated movies you talk about on the podcast.
There's a couple standout ones.
Sure, there's a couple.
Actually, funny enough, all the ones that come to mind are by DreamWorks.
Really?
It was the last the Wild Robot,
so
the Puss in Boots, Pussy Boots 2, and I guess these two now. Not to spoil what I thought of
Dogman.
Dogman.
We'll get to that.
They've been kind of crunching it.
Yeah, and what else are they putting out? Well, I guess let's check their output. What do they got coming out that could surprise us? Yeah, they're okay. that first
This like
no, just go to the damn wiki.
Fine, okay. Oh, live action How to Train Your Dragon. Of course.
Are they just distributing that, or are they actually working on that? Because apparently they're not doing the animation for that. That's like outsourced.
That's a good question.
Check the hold on, check the
Production is Dreamworks.
I was gonna say
Distributed by Universal. Check the
go back to the list and then go back to upcoming. Check those like the BD and E thing.
Not produced by Dreamworks, but released by them.
I guess it's just being released under their banner then. Okay. So they have that. They have a sequel to The Bad Guys, which we could.
I haven't seen. Okay, you know what's crazy?
What?
I've never had, except for that one time we went to go see. What did we go see that had the preview that had a animated short before it?
Save that for the next segment.
Oh, you're right. That was
we'll come back to that.
Okay, sorry. I've never had an animated short play before a movie before.
It feels like studios don't do that anymore.
Did I just completely miss the boat on those?
Disney and Pixar did it. That they're kind of like the kings of them doing that, but they stopped doing that with their movies. I don't know why, but it's just kind of weird that they kind of just stopped doing it.
Yeah, I
didn't know that there was gonna be a.
Before Dogman.
For Dogman. We'll get to that short later.
Anyway, I'll write that in the notes. Anyway, Captain Underpants. I mean, to be fair, there's not a whole lot to talk about with Captain Underpants.
I don't really have much to say on it either.
It's juvenile in a way I kind of like.
It's it's pretty much, I mean, if you've read the books, you kind of know what you're going to get humor-wise.
Yeah.
And it feels like I didn't know that apparently Dreamworks was eyeing to get the rights for Captain Underpants since like the Prince of Egypt days. And
damn, they've been wanting from Jesus to
from Captain Underpants.
Principal Krupp.
Yeah, they've been wanting because it makes sense. Like Dreamworks making a movie like this.
Oh yeah. I mean, like the book adaptations, the Bible, Captain Underpants.
Well, I was gonna say their humor.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It makes sense. From like just like Dreamworks wanting to do a movie based on Captain Underpants, that makes sense.
They do love toilet humor. Captain Underpants is like the number one. It might be the toilet humor thing, like book series.
Yeah.
In terms of like identity.
Oh yeah, of course. I feel like they kind of pride themselves on like toilet humor, but it works.
You know what's funny is I was gonna say, usually I don't like toilet humor. I don't like gross out humor.
Yeah, when we watch those like Rugrats movies.
I fucking hated. Oh, when they ate the fucking worms.
Yeah.
I hated that. I wanted those kids to get like cholera. Maybe in RFK's America. I hated that shit.
Yeah.
But for some reason in the Captain Underpants, something about, I don't know, maybe it was the delivery. There's a very particular kind of like dialogue directing style to both of these movies. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's almost like they know that this is like crass and like crude, but they have the fun with it, and there's like I feel like DreamWorks' better movies that have like crass, crude humor, like like their Shreks or their Kung Fu Pandas.
The crudes.
Yeah.
I guess are they that crude?
Yeah. I guess. Okay, I mean, sorry. I don't really like them.
I'm making a pun. Sorry.
It was a valiant pun.
Thank you. I love you.
Where was I going with this?
Like there are other movies that have crude humor.
Yeah, like there's stuff in there where it's like, yeah, this is for kids, but there's also stuff sprinkled in for like the older crowd, for them to be like, there's something for us.
I didn't even really get that out of Captain Underpants. I just got it as like,
maybe it's just really well written.
It's like something about the writing, but also I feel like both of these movies, Dogman and Captain Underpants, maybe it's just me, but I feel like the dialogue worked for me a lot more than I expected from the trailer. I feel like typical trailer editing does not really do like the tone of these movies justice.
Right.
There's not, because I feel like it's like a lot of DreamWorks movies
have shitty trailers.
That's true. But I think about like a Shrek or something. Shrek feels like the dialogue in a Shrek movie feels kind of tight. It feels like the dialogue is meant to be kind of snappy. And like I make a statement and then I do a little retort and then I have a little haha.
Yeah,
and
I
then
feel
a little
like
sarcastic joke.
They're better, well-written comedies. Yeah, like like Shrek, Road to El Dorado, some of the Madagascar movies even
Yeah.
kind of have like very snappy dialogue.
Yeah. And these had a much more like loose, almost conversational.
Yeah, very dialogue
Like-
heavy
Yeah.
humor, I guess.
Well, I mean, when I say dialogue, characters would the way that they like. I think you genuinely just have to like would have to like show someone a clip from it, where they talk in this kind of way where it's like they're not like the characters aren't even like really trying to be funny. Like they're not trying to tell jokes. They're just like saying stuff.
Yeah.
They're not putting like they're not like building up to a point in like a punchline like they're just like
Yeah.
like that's the
Very
the cadence.
Sure, conversational.
Yeah.
I guess is the word that
And I think something about that when it's like the villain's name is Professor Poopy Pants.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also just like I don't know. I'm laughing thinking about it. Like it's a funny. I feel like I would never laugh at something called Poopy Pants.
This movie just has a way of making stupid poo-poo jokes work. There's a fart opera, and I laughed my ass off during that shit.
Well, you love farts.
I love farts.
You love fart
in
jokes.
movies, so you know.
I think that was funnier to you.
It was funnier to me. I mean, show me a clip from The Dragon Prince, and
that show's crazy.
That show's crazy.
What the fuck was that? Okay, do you want to like go on a tangent about that?
I'll go on a little tangent about it. We found like this clip from like a Netflix series.
We were reading a Reddit thread about examples of like writers' unsubtle fetishes in their material.
There's this Netflix show called The Dragon Prince. I'm sure
it's like a CG
fantasy show,
show, something like that. It's for like a let's say a Cartoon Network audience, like middle school.
I'd say like a Steven Universe, Adventure Time type audience.
Like yeah.
There's some shit there, no pun intended, but there's like stuff in there where I'm like...
There's this scene that we were like, what the fuck is it? And we looked up like fart compilation.
There's
Dragon
a lot.
Prince fart compilation.
There's like a weird amount of it.
And there's a scene where like these two characters are riding on horseback. And there's like this hot, evil goth girl. And
is she evil? We don't know.
I think she's evil. The comments said she's like a goth girl, right?
Okay. The comments can correct us on that.
And a character who apparently is her brother,
like they're siblings, or
says something like, "Oh, I think your horse." He's like he smelled something. And he's like, "I think your horse." And she turns around and she goes, "It wasn't the horse."
Yeah,
and I was fucking lost it.
What the hell?
We were like, "What the fuck?" What is the purpose of writing in the fact that she has really smelly farts? She smells like a horse.
I'd expect that more from like a Canadian cartoon, but like,
do they love their farts over there?
Oh, have you seen Total Drama? Jesus Christ,
that is a Canadian show.
Yeah,
something about What's going on? What's in the water there?
Something. No wonder Trump wants to take them over.
They got too much fluoride in the water.
Too much farts in there.
Right. Anyway, Captain Underpants. Yeah, it's. I don't know. Like it's a very silly premise. It's these two. I don't know. I like their relationship. I like their friend. Their friend Harold and George's friendship is very sweet to me.
Yeah, and it's not like they're not like. You know, they're made to be like delinquents, but they're like endearing delinquents.
I like that they're creatives.
Yeah,
they're like Beavis and Butthead, but more liberal arts.
Yeah, honestly, I could see that.
I like that. I think it's kind of cute that it's like, oh, they get in trouble, but they have this really strong friendship that's based off of them. One of them's a writer and one of them's an artist, and they make these comics that none of the adults around them understand because it's this very
like none of the
childish humor.
They're students or something like that. Well, one of the students.
I think yeah.
Just the one Jordan Peele student.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was nice, and their friendship is like they have like the power of friendship.
Right.
I don't know. It's just I remember laughing and thinking, this is kind of charming. This is actually kind of fun.
Yeah, I definitely think this is more in line with like some of their underrated films. Because you don't see people talking about this one as much as you do their Shreks or their How to Train Your Dragons.
I totally forgot it even existed until you brought it up to me.
Yeah, because it didn't do that well. It did fine.
Was this a pandemic movie?
It's 2017.
Oh, well, right.
It just had the disprivilege of being released the same weekend as Wonder Woman. Like the original, that Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, the first, not the 1984 one, but the original, that first one. And it's like, oh...
2 superhero movies, technically.
Yeah, it's a superhero weekend, yeah.
This one's kind of... it is not very deep. I would say that it does... Captain Underpants isn't really trying to say that much as a movie.
It's not... Yeah, it's not How to Train Your Dragon or like Wild Robot levels of DreamWorks.
It's not gonna make you cry.
No,
It has like an emotional core.
There's an emotional core,
but it's not like trying to teach you a life lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just kind of a fun movie. It's a fun, sort of very silly, very juvenile movie about, I don't know, like being creative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was kind of nice. That set us up to go see Dogman. Yeah. And I will tell you that when I walked into Dogman, I had a good impression from the Captain Underpants movie, and all I was expecting was something kind of similar. I'm like, okay, I'd seen the trailers, and I was just like, okay, well, all I want is just something that's like kind of funny, like the Captain Underpants movie was, that kind of made me like have a dumb giggle. And just wasn't that serious. I didn't need anything much out of it, and I got a lot more than I bargained for.
Yeah.
Kat, I'm gonna put this on the table right now. I got a little teary-eyed.
Did
watching
you?
Dogman.
Did you?
I did.
You didn't say that shit when you left the theater.
I was a little.
I
was a little embarrassed.
Is it because we were around people, around my friends? Oh, it's funny.
I was like, I can't tell them I cried a little at Dogman.
I didn't even see you. Well, maybe because I was.
Because you were crying.
I wasn't.
Am I the only one who cried at Dogman a little bit?
I think you were the only one.
I thought it hit kind of hard. Okay. Oh, real quick, because I wrote it in the notes.
Oh, right.
This is the first time I've ever gone to a movie and there was an animated short ahead of it.
And I kind of wish that more movies did that. I don't know why they stopped doing that shit.
I don't know. Like, it was for the bad guys, which I knew basically nothing about.
Yeah, so I guess this is just made to promote the fact that there's a sequel coming out later this year.
And I just thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah,
I thought it was a fun
as
short.
someone who has seen the first Bad Guys, if you like that short, you'll probably like the movie.
Oh, okay.
It's very much a high energy kind of like send up to like 60s or 70s heist movies. Like,
okay.
That kind of Ocean's 13 type shit.
I thought the like, I don't know, like the comedic timing and the characters were kind of likable.
Yeah, I'd say about the characterization of the main bad guys and like the stylish, snappy humor is very in line with that first movie. So
okay, that's the one about the wolf who finds out he has a praise kink, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
dude. Kat and I, remember being in the theater for something and we got a trailer for that.
Yeah, we did.
And there were like children behind us because we were going to see a baby movie that you took me to.
It wasn't a baby movie.
What was it?
It was fucking Spider-Man. I bet that. Yeah.
Baby's included.
Yeah.
Baby's optional. There was like kids behind us, and the fucking trailer for the bad guys was like, the lady calls him a good boy.
Yeah.
And like there's a shot of like all his hairs standing up, and he's like, he like comes back to his friends, and they're like, hey, you good? And he's like, whoa. And we looked at each other, we're like, is this movie about him finding out he has a praise king? That's funny.
It's not what the movie's about, but you know what? That's close enough.
Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because that was like a weird experience.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I was like, oh yeah, I've never had this before.
Yeah, I can't think of any other. No, yeah, I can't think of any movie that had a short before it.
Outside of the time we went to go see The Wizard of Oz at the Stanford Theater.
I played a Looney Tunes short.
They played a Looney Tunes.
I'm not gonna count that.
that was kind of like a special
thing.
Yeah. They were probably just doing that because of the
because it was just one movie, I guess. 'Cause normally,
yeah, that's true. They usually do double features.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know. It's the same for theater. They do nice stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, Dogman. Had you read the Dogman books before this?
Not as much as the Cap. I think I only read like 1 or 2.
Okay, I hadn't even heard of them.
Okay. Yeah, it's still going. I think this thing has like what, 14, 15 books or something like that.
There's a lot of books. We went into a Target afterwards.
There's more books than Captain Underpants.
Really?
Captain Underpants only has like 12 books or something like that. This has like 14,
it's like
15.
the fucking Wheel of Time.
Yeah, it is like Wheel of Time of like kids' books.
Fucking Brandon Sanderson's Dogman. Well, he finished them. Sorry. He finished Wheel of Time.
Well,
that's how those books.
We're not done with Dogman then.
That's
Dave.
Who will Dave Pilkey give it to?
Someone.
He'd give it to. He's got to give it to. Who's the Diary of a Wimpy Kid author?
Kinney.
Jeff Kinney. He's gonna say Jeff Kinney.
Would he even give a shit? Their humors are like way different.
He would come into. He would rise to the occasion, I think.
All right. Well.
Anyway, what did you think of Dogman?
I thought it was pretty much just about on the same level as Captain Underpants. I don't know if I'd say it's better, but I think they're basically like teeter-tottering. I guess it depends on how I feel. But they're both basically on the same level. They're both... This one feels very... I will say this. The one thing that this, I'd say, have over Captain Underpants is that this one is... This movie's humor is like... breakneck speed, just like joke after joke after joke.
When we saw trailers for this, I was like, okay, well, I felt like I'd seen the whole movie.
Yeah.
The trailers are like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, this is like the first 10 minutes.
I was like, oh, wait, what's going to happen? And the movie's like, how long is it? Like 80 minutes, 90 minutes?
I think it's about like 90 minutes. Yeah, sounds about right.
It feels I was talking to one of our friends and I was like, did that feel like it could have been 2 hours? Because so much stuff happened?
Yeah, it did feel like longer than 90 minutes.
It wasn't long. It didn't feel long in a bad way. It was there was so much happening.
Yeah, it felt like that movie could have ended in like 2 different places and it still went for it.
Yeah. It was like the Wild Robot.
Yeah, how do you release peak back to back? Good job, DreamWorks.
Yeah. I really liked this movie. I thought it was really good.
When I heard you say it was like a 10 out of 10,
I said 10 out of 10.
I didn't know if you were joking.
I'm dead serious.
Now I know you're dead serious.
I'm dead serious. I'm like, call me Chris Chan. Because this is dead serious. Someone left a comment on one of my videos that they said, I really like the Chris Chan lighting. It's one of the ones that's more like yellow-green tinted.
What video was yellow-green tinted?
I don't remember. There's like one of them. There's a few of them. And I've gone that color scheme. But, okay. So I have like jaundice in it or something.
You like a Simpson?
Yeah. This movie started out and I was like, oh yeah, this does feel a lot like Captain Underpants. It's just kind of like gags and humor, and it's not taking itself very seriously. And then it kind of starts to reveal that it's actually like about something.
Yeah, it has a plot.
And it has a story.
Well, yeah, I guess a story.
Everything has a plot.
Sure.
And everything has a story.
Yeah, good point.
So I don't even... So the basic setup of Dogman is that, like, again, because it's really silly. It's that there's like a police officer with a little dog companion, and they get into an accident because they're chasing Petey the cat.
Played by Pete Davidson.
Played by Petey the cat Davidson. And the man's head is just fucked up. It's kaput.
Yeah, it looks like the Invisible Man.
And the dog's body is kaput.
Yeah.
So they stitch the dog's head onto the man's body, which somehow makes him grow fur everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't notice like the hands. I'm like, oh, how did that? Well,
Yeah.
whatever, fine.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's literally being written by like 2 kids.
Yeah, that's like the meta thing is that Dogman is a comic that George and Harold write.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yes. It's like one of their stories.
So they're writing about this stuff from like I don't okay. I won't get into the meta thing because the movie never touches on that.
Oh no, yeah, they don't touch on the fact that it's not like Winnie the Pooh where they'll have like the author interact with the fictional
That's
characters.
true.
This is just an in-universe story.
Is there like there's not like the opening credits where they imply that. Is there? Is there like an opening credits where they're like drawing pictures or something? Not them on camera physically, but
no. They're never
okay. I might be confusing that with Captain Underpants.
Yeah, I think it's
because that's how that one opens.
That's how that opens.
Like a comic.
Dogman doesn't acknowledge the fact that it's a comic. George and Harold themselves make cameos in the movies. If you you have to
you pointed that out.
You have to like you blink. If you blink, you will miss it.
It's like for 3 seconds.
It's like yeah. But other than that, this is just an in-universe story.
It starts out as this really simple, just like Dogman is like a super cop, and he's got to fight Petey the cat, who hates good do-gooders, and he has a little Asian Ramona Flowers assistant.
Yeah, who has some pretty funny.
Yeah,
makes a Fallout reference according to our friends.
No, it's because she's like, you paid me in bottle caps, and our fucking friend was like, Fallout New Vegas. So then it like I'd say the turning point of the movie is like literally, so genuinely like the first 20 minutes is like fairly shallow, where it's like back and forth gags. Mm-hmm. There is the bit about Dogman going home and realizing that his girlfriend has left him, another dog and another man,
which is funny as hell. I kind of laughed at that. I'm like, oh shit.
And then he buys a doghouse. Yeah. And he walks in the doghouse and it's like a full-sized house inside.
Yeah.
Which is really funny.
And he listens to Hank Williams. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever watched a kids movie where Hank Williams is in the soundtrack.
Such a specific reference.
I appreciate that. I don't know why.
Yeah. So there's like a little bit of like, okay, it's not doing anything crazy.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me of like The Emperor's New Groove, where that shit had like joke after joke, like every minute.
Yeah, that's really how the movie starts off with, and I thought that was fine because it never felt overwhelming. Mm-hmm. I thought it was very funny. I thought this was a really funny movie.
Throughout this movie, I laughed my ass off. I think probably more than Captain Underpants, honestly.
There's a lot of really good like absurd humor in this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good sight gags. It almost felt like an Aardman movie in terms of just how breakneck the comedy was.
Do you remember when the police chief has to like show Dogman something's top secret, and they go to his desk. There's like
it's like some Indiana Jones.
There's like a 30-second lead up to like him making sure no one's around.
Yeah,
and then he like opens the drawer to his desk. And there's like a secret passage down it. And they go down and there's like 3 levels that they have to walk down underground. Uh-huh. And then they walk back up the stairs. It's like this whole montage of them going through like all these secret passageways. And then they just come back out up on the ground level. Uh-huh. They come up out of the other cabinet.
The other cabinet, filing
and then it's just like in the drawer.
Yeah. And it's like...
it's like a almost minute-long joke.
Yeah.
That's dedicated to... them just over I don't even know. It's like excess. The joke is like the excess.
It felt like a Family Guy joke.
Yeah. Like that's the twist, is that it was just there the whole time and they come back up. There's shit like that all over the movie. It's really fun.
It's really funny, yeah.
Dogman as a main character. Okay. Dogman is the main character. Mm-hmm. But the other main character is Petey. Petey is not really the villain.
He's not.
He's kind of he's like the antagonist.
He's an antagonist, but he's like an antagonist that has like an arc. Like, I'd argue he has the bigger arc.
Oh yeah, no.
Over Dogman.
I was thinking about this in literary terms. Dogman would be considered to be a what is it? A flat protagonist.
Yeah.
Which means Dogman himself does not really develop
as a character. Yeah.
But what he does affects the people around him.
Yeah.
And he is the catalyst for change. While not changing very much. In other structures, antagonistic forces work on the protagonist, on like a dynamic protagonist, which forces them to change. But this is like
this is the inverse.
Goku is a flat protagonist.
I don't watch or like Dragon Ball, but I can see that.
Goku doesn't change at all, but Goku being himself changes other. Luffy is a flat protagonist.
That's a good.
A lot of shonen protagonists are like that.
Does that make Dogman a shonen protagonist?
There are flat protagonists in other things, but yeah. I mean, Dogman is kind of you could consider it a shonen. In Japan, you could release it as a shonen manga.
You could, yeah.
It's a comic book. It's aimed at around that age range.
It's like a graphic novel, yeah.
So that's so. I don't know, man. Like, do you want to get into spoilers for Dogman?
The movie's out on streaming at this point.
You should go see it. See it.
It's still in theaters, so if you don't have like Peacock or Amazon Prime Video, go see it.
So the movie really changes, and the point where I was like, wait, where is this going? Because I'm like, I couldn't tell, like, is the movie running out of, like, what is going on? Is when Petey, so he, like, fires his Ramona Flowers assistant.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need someone who's just like me. So he orders a cloning device. But the cloning device, instead of creating a clone that's, like, exactly him, it's him as a baby.
Yeah, and they call him Little Petey.
He's Lil Petey. And Lil Petey, maybe it's just me, I thought it was very cute. He walks around, he calls him Pop Pop.
Kind of remind me of like Anya.
Anya Spy Family.
Yeah.
And he has all these. Petey is like a very archetypal, simple villain character. That's how he starts out as. You're presented with this character as he's evil and he makes up, cartoony evil plots. Because he hates do-gooders, because he's evil. And there's, like, no depth there at the beginning. And then he has this immediate contrast with Lil Petey, who is suddenly... So you have, like, Petey, who is archetypally evil, and Dogman, who's archetypally good.
Yeah.
And then Lil Petey, who is, like, a blank slate, who is just learning about the whole world for the first time, and has, like, a childlike perspective and challenges Petey's perceptions about the world. And I really liked Petey's character arc in this.
Yeah, apparently this, like, because I've the one thing I did know about Dogman before going to this is apparently there's a lot of deep emotional
I don't remember what it was, but I saw like one snippet from Dogman that made me go, whoa.
Yeah, it's like kind of emotional and shit like that. And I saw like a bunch of like those panels.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, is the movie gonna deal with stuff like that? And they do. I was kind of shocked that they did.
Yeah, and so essentially, you find out that Petey, the reason Petey is the way that he is because his father walked out on them when he was a kid. He took everything and he left, and you kind of come to understand that Petey is the way that he is because that experience embittered him to the world. He's actually... Petey the cat is actually a lot like Lex Luthor.
Yeah, honestly.
Like Lex Luthor's motivation or like his character, like his explanation for his character is that, well, I guess for the audience, Lex Luthor's whole deal is that he's like a piece of shit and he's really powerful. And his whole idea is, well, it's okay that I'm evil. This is in like simple terms. it's okay that I'm evil because human beings are just inherently like that. If you give someone enough power, they will be corrupted, and they will abuse their power. And so for me, this is just human nature that I'm acting out. And he sees Superman, who's like a god, right, among men, and Superman's like a good person who believes in truth and love and unity and justice, and he's like, he hates that because that proves to Lex that he actually is a bad person, and it's a choice to be evil and to misuse your power. And that's why Petey hates do-gooders.
Yeah.
Is because he like fundamentally is like, dude, the world sucks. Why are you a good... It like completely conflicts with his worldview that someone could just want to do good things and care about other people. And it's so weird. It's like weirdly nuanced. Like he's now like a father to Lil Petey that he doesn't really want to be. And he has like, his impression of a father is someone who just walks out on you.
Yeah.
And he kind of like repeats the cycle.
Yeah, it's almost like, I guess, generational trauma.
That's like, yeah, genuinely, it's like, because what he does is he basically like leaves Lil Petey in a box on the sidewalk, and runs away. And he's like, I don't want to deal with it. And Lil Petey ends up getting saved by Dogman and like adopted for a bit. And he's actually, Lil Petey's all like Rock Howard, where he's the son of the villain, but he gets raised by the protagonist. Dogman's Terry Bogard. and so Petey the cat, Geese Howard, is why does he want to get Lil Petey back? Was it for leverage or what was it?
I think it was leverage or something.
Okay.
I guess he just finds out Dogman has
is raising him.
And he's like, not in my world.
Yeah. There's a part of the movie where Petey invents a robot. It's called, I don't remember what the full acronym is, but it shortens to
ADHD.
80, like 80, the number,
yeah.
HD, ADHD. And it can like find anyone. That's its thing, is it can find anyone in the world. And Lil Petey tells it to go find Petey's dad. Because to Lil Petey, he's like, well, you don't know that you were so young. You don't know why he left. Maybe he had reasons. Maybe he feels bad about it. And maybe you can just reconnect. And ADHD brings the grandpa back. And the grandfather, it's like, no, that guy is genuinely like an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he really was a piece of shit who did not care about anyone but himself. And Petey had a completely accurate reading on him.
He's more of an antagonist than the actual antagonist, and he's not the main villain.
Yeah, I mean, he's more of a villain than the
I guess the actual antagonist of the film.
Like like if it wasn't for him being a piece of shit, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
And he was just like a dad to his son. And
he's almost like, I don't know, like Ego, I guess.
Oh, from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, no, I can see what you mean. That scene when Petey goes, what? So like all this shit happens where Petey kind of like accidentally brings a psychic cyborg fish back to life.
Fucking Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais, evil cyborg psychic
I like
fish.
that this movie got terrible, shitty people. I'm fucking with you. Pete Davidson's fine, but like he plays assholes in movies all the time.
Yeah.
But Ricky Gervais, on the other hand, now that's perfect casting.
He hasn't done anything. He's just kind of annoying.
He's kind of a shithead.
You're telling me you believe in a magical man in the sky? No, he's good, and he that fish is just kind of like a force of nature.
Yeah, you almost kind of forget he's in the movie until like the last 30 minutes.
He comes up to create problems.
Yeah.
it's funny because like the antagonist and the villain are not like aligned roles in this movie.
Oh
which
yeah,
is kind of interesting.
They have like different motives.
Yeah. Okay, are we recording?
I think it's picking up.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that is. Okay, cool. Anyway, we dropped out again because I jostled the cable. What were we talking about?
Ricky Gervais fish.
Yeah. He shows up to basically create a climax, which was very fun.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
They do like a giant robot kaiju battle.
Yeah.
Where the giant mailman robot suplexes a house.
What's up with
evil living house.
What's up with us watching movies in theaters where there's a giant something that suplexes something else?
I don't know.
Fucking King Kong suplexing Godzilla.
I'm not even like a big wrestling guy. I just know
really like when people do that.
I know there's wrestling people who will be like yeah. And then it wraps up with Petey. What is it? So the day is saved. Petey and Dogman work together to take down Ricky Gervais' fish.
Yeah.
And save Lil Petey from the fish. And then at the end of it, Petey goes back home with Lil Petey. And turns out that the grandfather has stolen everything out of their house.
Can't have shit in OK City.
And Petey's like, I can't like raise you. Like there's no beds here. It's literally a completely barren warehouse. So he's like, I guess I'll take you back to Dogman and you can live with him. And I'll just like rebuild my life. And okay, so here's what got me.
I think I know what it is, but go on.
So there's a scene when Petey is walking, I think first walking, it's earlier in the movie, he's walking Lil Petey to Dogman's house, which is like outside of the city. And Lil Petey is telling about the splendor of the world. And he's like, look at the flowers. And it's like a dandelion. And Petey goes, it's a weed.
Oh yeah.
And he says, look at the river, and he says it's polluted. And he can't he can't see the beauty of the world.
It's like the half glass full, half glass empty.
He's half empty. Yeah. He's a pessimist. He has a negative, he's primed to have a negative worldview. And he takes Little Petey back and he gives him a Dogman. And as he's walking back, he sees the weed, and then he kind of, without saying anything, he plucks it out of the ground, and then he sees the bottle in the river, and he picks the bottle up out of the river, and he puts the dandelion in the bottle as it's like a little vase. And I was like, oh shit. That's really beautiful. Because Petey's character arc and the lesson that he learns is that, because again, the dad was a genuine piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
And treated him really badly and walked out on him. And his view is that like, well, fuck everyone then. Fuck everything. And what Lil Petey and Dogman teach him is that guy was a piece of shit, but I don't have to be. And that made me a little emotional. That made me like, I was like, oh, the way it was presented, and I was like, wow, that's like a really nice moral lesson, I guess. And it's like, I don't know. It felt, and it wasn't very ham-fisted. It was presented mostly through actions.
Very wordless, which I was kind of shocked about.
Like there's just it's a very high energy movie.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get this really quiet sequence,
somber moment,
and you see him just through his actions change a little bit, and it's like he cleans up the world around, and not just that he cleans it up, but he also makes something kind of pretty out of it. And I was like, oh fuck. He's like, I don't know, it was powerful to me.
Yeah.
I'm tearing up right now.
Are you?
A little bit.
This isn't Winnie the Pooh. I'm fucking with you. What's up with these book adaptations fucking with you?
I don't know. Maybe it's just there's certain I mean I think everyone has certain stories that like types of stories that just
Something
affect them a lot.
Right.
Like there's stories that there are like coming of age stories don't really do anything for me personally.
Sure. I mean, you mentioned that when we talked about the Kung Fu Panda movies.
Right.
You weren't really big on that.
Yeah.
Not that it was bad, but it's just like,
Yeah. Well, no, that was like a where am I from?
What still kind of fits in that?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. That kind of like you know. I wasn't super into Catcher in the Rye. Actually, it's funny. I remember when my high school class read Catcher in the Rye, and we were talking about the scene where he orders a prostitute and just talks to her for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And like half the guys in my class were like, what a fucking idiot. He could have got some head.
Yeah.
What a loser. Fuck you, Holden Caulfield.
It reminds me of like that lyric from like Basket Case by Green Day.
What lyric?
There's a lyric where he says, I went to a whore, but she said I was a bore because I kept yapping and complaining about my life. Like, is that what they're referencing? I mean, maybe.
See, what whores want, they want an interesting client. They're like, if you're going to talk my ear off, at least be a fascinating listen. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. And then at the very end, they agreed... PD comes back, and they arranged to be gay co-parenting dads.
Yeah, gay co-parent. We all of our friends in the theater like, said that
they're gay dads. So like he's like, I get to see him on the weekend or something, and I was like, that's really nice. I liked that also that it wasn't a 100% immediate turnaround. It was like, you know, if you're making a movie for kids, it's very easy and it's very obvious to make it obvious. Where a character's like, nope, I have learned my lesson, and they're just changed. And I like that when PD has his change of heart, it's in a completely private moment.
Yeah.
And he like doesn't even want to really acknowledge it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he's in like the first step of changing who he is. And he's like, yeah, fine, like I've seen him sometimes, and like don't make a big deal out of it. It's not like, oh, we're all friends now.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was surprisingly subtle. It was surprisingly nuanced. I thought it hit some kind of interesting themes, and it in my opinion, with the subject matter, it didn't take the easy way out. They could have easily had the dad be like, oh, I had a reason to, I'm so sorry. Petey, I've been looking for you. And it's like, oh, well, is that how he like gets to learn about forgiveness? Oh, maybe he wasn't. It's like, no, because the more important lesson is to change your worldview.
Right.
It's like you should be able to be a good person even if you were wronged in the past. I don't know. And I was just like, I was just sitting there in the theater, and I was a little misty-eyed, and I was like, fuck, that's a 10.
Crazy. You'd think what The Wild Robot was the 10 movie of the two recent Dreamworks movies.
I like The Wild Robot a lot. I don't know if
I don't know.
I would rewatch this before Wild Robot.
Like it's shorter.
How long is Wild Robot?
110 minutes, like almost 2 hours.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. I guess that's the case. I don't know. This was very consistently fun to watch.
Yeah.
Wild Robot was cool because it feels like the movie's over and then it keeps going, but it gets better.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
sometimes it's like The Last Jedi where it feels like the movie's over, and then there's another 30 minutes that are bad.
That gets worse.
And
yeah.
you're like, fuck, dude, it's like fucking Zen from Half-Life 1. Fucking Rey is doing zero gravity platforming. No one taught her how to do the long jump. This is dumb. Yeah. Anything you want to say about Dogman?
I pretty much nailed everything that you said about it.
Yeah.
It's nice. I like the animation. I like that it
Yeah.
feels a little different than Captain Underpants.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be a stop motion movie apparently, but they switched to CG because I guess profitable.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it still kind of
honestly, it looks great.
It looks great, yeah, for like a $40 million budget. Looks great.
It's no, you go on.
I don't know. I like the side characters. You didn't mention much of them.
Oh, I love this. I do love the side characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything about the movie is just very charming.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the 10 out of 10 reason for me is I just kind of like every part of it. There's nothing...
It feels weird saying this. It does kind of feel like we watched a lot of those like 70s Disney movies, like Winnie the Pooh or The Rescuers, where it's got like this quaint, it's not too deep, but it's got like a nice rewatchability to it.
Okay.
It's where it's like, is it the best of the studio's output? Probably not. But it's kind of great to watch every so often.
You're talking to the #1 Dogman defender now.
I guess I am.
Wait, I totally had something in my
Do you
head.
have something else to say?
Oh yeah, it's nice. I think in general, it's kind of nice that there's a lot. It feels like there's. Correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm like tunnel visioned or something, but there's like a lot. Feels like there's a lot more variety in CG movies now.
Yeah, I you know what, I saw
especially from DreamWorks, because DreamWorks was like in my head there is like a DreamWorks look, and it's like a kind of budget Pixar. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah, because especially if you like look at stuff like
even for their good movies.
Yeah, even if they're good movies like Shrek, Madagascar, Megamind.
Yeah.
They all have this DreamWorks look.
You snuck Madagascar in there.
I don't think they're that bad.
I'm not saying... Okay, fine.
Maybe... Hey, we both like 3. We both did really like 3.
You're right.
Or, I don't know, Kung Fu Panda, there you go. They have this look to them. I feel like starting with the Puss in Boots, I would say. Puss in Boots 2.
Still have the page up. I could look at their history again.
I would say starting with that. Oh, I'd say maybe actually Bad Guys. I would say starting with...
Yeah, probably.
The Bad Guys. They kind of have like this unique style to each of their movies where one doesn't look like the other.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Whereas something like Pixar, Disney, they have a style.
They have like a house style.
In-house style, which...
And, yeah.
DreamWorks doesn't have an in-house studio.
Yeah, like, genuinely, like, I was looking, I'm like... well, once you get to 3D, like, Shrek, Shark Tale, Madagascar, Over the Hedge, Flushed Away, B-Movie. Like, they have a look to them.
Does Flushed Away fit in with that?
It's a little bit. It's a little bit. I think...
Because it's... Well, I mean, it's because... I don't know.
There's definitely an Aardman look to, like, the character designs. But I mean, like, really specific things, like the way they do lighting and, like, rendering of textures and even, like, the frame rate of the animation.
I guess.
Like, they started to get into it's very interpolated and smooth in their previous stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, specifically, like, with Puss in Boots, I remember we noticed they were a lot more variable with the frame, like, what the animation was on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was very smooth, and sometimes it'd be a lot more jerky, and it was on like choppy. It was on like 4s or something.
Yeah, like 4s or 2s or whatever. Yeah. Bad Guys also does it, and Wild Robot also does that.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, not too much,
not
but
as much. Yeah.
You can tell that, like, Dogman was not animated in-house.
Who animated it?
I don't know, but because they said after the Wild Robot is their last in-house movie, and they said they're gonna start outsourcing.
Really?
They started basically they're pulling a Cartoon Network, where they don't technically have a studio anymore.
What happened? Did they?
I think they sold the campus that the animation studio's in, and it's pretty much because I read that it's pretty much a kind of a dead campus now, where it's like we're almost kind of just here.
A year ago, DreamWorks shifting away from in-house productions, fully Sony ImageWorks. The third party, yeah, okay.
So basically, yeah, they're not animating their movies in-house anymore, and they're outsourcing, starting with, I'd say, Dogman, I think is their first one. Which, I mean, hey, I'll say this, it at least still looks good.
Whoa, this movie was fucking cheap. Dogman was $40 million.
I said $40 million
to make?
Yeah.
Wow.
This movie does not have to make that much money back to be a success, apparently.
It's made $55 million so far. Gross unadjusted. Oh, that's North America. Worldwide. They were like almost made their money back. Probably.
It would need to double it. So yeah.
Yeah, just about. Wow. Okay. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, I mean, it's. I guess this one's a success so far.
Yeah.
In terms of.
I mean, it's not. Inside Out 2, but it's like it's still doing well. For what it's worth, I'll give it that.
Is Sony ImageWorks?
They're not. I don't know. Because we didn't stay for the credits, so I didn't know. They are apparently they're just credited, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure who did the animation for this. This was outsourced. I just know that.
Jellyfish Pictures, who did
a
couple shorts for them. Looks like they've kind of just done CG films.
There's an animation section.
Oh, okay. So they've done like support CG for a couple movies. They did like on Solo, Kingsman, Rogue One, a bunch of Star Wars stuff. Fear Street.
Well, we don't give a shit. We're talking about kids' movies.
I'm sorry. I just did a R.L. Stein video.
Oh, Fear Street?
Fear Street was what he wrote before Goosebumps. That was aimed at teenagers.
Oh, I thought that was a Netflix thing. I didn't know. That.
No, Fear Street was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did not know that. That
was his original thing. Animation.
So they've pretty much been, I guess it looks like, an assist animation service for DreamWorks.
Yeah.
For a while.
A support studio, as they call it in Japan. They like calling stuff like that. Yeah. Do you think Pete Davidson is Petey the Cat on top of being a Pete? Is there like a Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man situation going on with that?
What do you mean?
Because like he lost his dad when he was younger.
Oh, Pete Davidson?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He makes jokes about his dad dying in 9/11 all the time.
Oh, does he?
You didn't know that? Yeah, his dad died.
I didn't know that.
His dad died in 9/11.
Was he in those buildings?
I think he was. He was that. Shit. Hang on, Pete Davidson, dad.
9/11.
Yeah. He was a firefighter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Aww.
So he died. He was a firefighter, and he died in 9/11. And he makes jokes about it a lot.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
There's like he was at like a roast and stuff, so the people went in on that, and he thought it was funny. He makes jokes about it a lot himself, so it's not like
offensive. I guess. He doesn't take offense.
But I mean, it's like I thought it was like I made a little connection of like, oh, did he? I wonder if that was like a thing for him.
He took with the role,
because it's like, oh, it's a character who has these hang-ups about his dad and has to like move on from it. And I was like, and his name Pete.
Yeah, I thought the reason why they cast him because of the name. I genuinely thought that was
He's good.
He's great. He's good in the movie. You know what? This cast is great.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Yeah, Pete Davidson does a great job. Lil Rel as the chief is great.
Oh, okay.
He's really funny. I like Isla Fisher, who hasn't been in a movie in a while.
Yeah, she's funny. She's the reporter.
She's probably one of my favorites. I laughed constantly at her jokes.
She was fun, yeah.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais does a fine job. Yeah, I don't know. I liked the cast, I guess.
Yeah.
I found myself laughing really hard at their performances.
Yeah. Oh, it's Dav Pilkey.
Oh, is
his
it
name Dav? David. Okay, he goes by Dav. All right.
Okay. Well, I didn't know it was pronounced like that. I thought it was Dave for some reason.
Was the name is David?
Dave, Dab, whatever. One or the other.
Wikipedia says it's pronounced Dave, so maybe it is Dave.
Maybe it's
Pilkey,
Dave
but he
Pilkey.
spells it without an E for some reason. Anyway, that's Dogman.
Yeah.
I would actually recommend to go see it if I think kids would like it.
Oh, this is totally tailor made for them.
That was nice about it, because you remember when we watched the Mario movie and it was like blah 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 blah. I feel like I was on Normandy. And
I feel like you could say that about a lot of the kids movies that we watched, like fucking Despicable Me 4.
Oh god, yeah.
Garfield.
This was really fast. It was very fast paced, but it never really felt overwhelming to me.
Yeah. Again,
which was nice.
The comparison I made to The Emperor's New Groove is like
yeah.
It's funny, but it's never tiring.
It's very well paced.
Yeah.
Like there's moments that slow down, and I don't think anything that would make a kid get bored.
No, yeah.
Nothing that would. I think the kids were locked in on this one.
Yeah. Even though
in the theater.
I think we laughed more than the kids.
We did.
The kids were kind of more silent, just kind of like paying attention, but
that's like a funny thing about children, is that there's things that I didn't find that as a kid I watched and I remember I would just take it in.
Oh yeah,
and then as an adult,
too, yeah.
I would rewatch it. And I'm like, this is a lot funny. This is really funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just having like a more developed sense of humor.
Right?
As a kid, you're just like, okay, what is this giving me?
Yeah. That's actually a funny way to put it.
Like I went back and rewatched a bunch of Chowder clips. And I was like, this show's really funny.
When I had COVID earlier this year, I rewatched Chowder and I was like, yeah, this is funny.
Chowder and Billy and Mandy.
Oh yeah.
I like rewatched a few Billy and Mandy episodes and I was like, this is a really funny show. And I don't remember laughing. I remember liking it a lot as a kid, but not like laughing at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, like Dogman.
I'm high hopes for DreamWorks. Because a lot of, even though all their input now is just on sequels, it's nice to get a movie. Well, I guess this is based on an IP.
I mean, they do make decisions about what to put into production and probably approving scripts and stuff.
I'm just glad. I just hope that this didn't go the Kung Fu Panda 4 route in production. It didn't seem like it, but
yeah. I mean, what if they cast Awkwafina in this?
Well, she's in The Bad Guys, so.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
Are you an Awkwafina lover or hater?
Well, I don't like Raya and the Last Dragon a lot, so.
She in that?
She's the dragon. And she doesn't shut the fuck up.
She's the Eddie Murphy Mushu.
Yeah, she's basically like the dragon in that movie.
That's so funny.
And she doesn't shut up.
They were like, well, we can't get like a black person, but we can get something kind of
close. We can get Blasian.
Is she Blasian?
I don't know, but she sure acts like she is. I don't think she is. No, I don't think so.
Awkwafina.
I don't think so.
Nora Lum.
That's a funny name. Why don't you just keep that?
Yeah. What are you gonna invade her?
She's from New York.
Chinese American, Korean American. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Is there a term? Oh, Chiga.
Sure.
Or Kiga for her Korean ancestry.
Yeah.
I wish that Asian started with a vowel. Sorry, with a consonant. So that it would fit better. I love the word wigga.
I know you do. Anyways, hats off to you, DreamWorks. I'll see you.
Yeah.
I'll be there for Shrek 5. I'll be there.
You would be there regardless.
What do you mean I'll be there regardless?
You would always be. You weren't like, I'm really hinging my interest in Shrek 5 on Dogman's performance. You were going to take me to Shrek 5 anyway.
That movie comes out the same weekend as Ice Age 6. That is going to be a shitty...
There's only 6 Ice Ages?
Well, I guess before this 5.
That is really surprising. I could have sworn it was like a Land Before Time.
And there was like... They're both prehistoric movies.
Yeah, exactly. They're both period pieces. The Cretaceous period. I don't know if that's Cretaceous. No, it's the Ice Age.
Ice Age, yeah.
That's different.
It's different.
Okay. Anyway, I could have sworn there was like 9 of them, and like half of them came out on video.
No, they all went to all went to theaters.
That's okay. Anyway, following up to the actual sequel to Dogman, which already came out, a little film called Anora.
I jokingly called it the Treehouse Comics trilogy. And I'm like, oh yeah, Anora.
You were like, dude, did George go through something?
What did George and Harold go through?
I thought Anora was awesome. I think we both really liked it.
For a movie nominated for like Best Picture,
yeah,
it certainly feels out of place.
It's not a typical Best Picture, but I'm glad it is. It's like a Balatro.
Yeah, it's like the Balatro of like Best Picture nominees.
Yeah.
And like Sun Wukong is like Emilia Perez.
Black Myth Wukong?
Yeah, Black Myth Wukong.
Okay, it wasn't that disrespectful.
Or sorry, no, that would be like the Dark Souls DLC. That's a more apt comparison.
It's like fucking Sifu getting Fighting Game of the Year nominated. It's the multiverses. Is Emilia Perez the multiverses of movies? Fuck. Right. So Anora
is a movie directed
by Sean Baker.
Sean Baker.
If you can't tell, we were joking. Anora is a live action drama comedy. A dramedy, as some may say. I would describe. Okay. Anora is really fun. It's like 2 hours.
It's about 2 hours. Yeah.
So the first 40 minutes of Anora is everything is awesome. Like the Lego movie.
I was going to say,
I didn't mean for that. And it's just things going right for like 40 minutes straight.
It's like a Cinderella story.
Oh, yeah.
A stripper Cinderella story.
A stripperella story, which Stan Lee would write.
Yeah, why didn't they cast Pamela Anderson?
Yeah. And the rest of the movie, after like exactly 40 minutes, is like, it's like a 5-car pileup that turns into like a 15-car pileup that turns into like there's like a train that crashes into the highway at some point.
And like
somehow
five plane crashes.
Yeah, there's 5 planes go down. A nuke gets dropped on the highway. Anora is okay. So it starts out. It's about a 23-year-old exotic dancer in Brooklyn, New York, named Anora, but she goes by Annie.
Annie or Ani.
Or Ani. I think they usually say Annie. Annie is how she pronounced it. I think because that's more American.
Okay.
So she goes by Annie, and she is working at this nightclub where she gets assigned to this 21-year-old Russian kid who is, I can say kid because I'm older than him, than 21 now, who is basically, he's a little Nepo baby.
Yeah.
His name is Ivan, and his parents are extremely wealthy Russian corporate oligarchs.
Yeah.
And he is in America. You find out later he's there on a visa, on like a student visa.
Yeah.
There's like a quick line.
It's like 90 Day Fiance almost.
Yeah, so basically what happens is she gets assigned to him because she can speak Russian because she has Russian ancestry or something. Her family's Russian, who she doesn't talk to.
Yeah,
she doesn't talk to her family.
It's never brought up, but it's like, okay, whatever.
She's kind of isolated, living on her own with like a roommate in New York, doing her thing, getting by as a prostitute dancer. Well, optional prostitute, because essentially what happens is he first just starts off with paying her to come to his big ass mansion and have sex. And then it turns into they kind of hit it off, and he asks her if she could be his girlfriend for a week, and he'll pay her.
He'll pay her, yeah, for like a week.
And during this week, like, they go on this crazy trip to Vegas. They're having a great time. They're doing drugs with all their friends.
Yeah.
And doing crazy shit and gambling. And he really doesn't want to go back to Russia. He really doesn't want to go back.
Yeah, he wants to stay there. You
get the impression that he is like kind of just like an immature brat who never really grew up. He's spoiled.
Like XCQ or whatever.
XQC?
XQC, sorry. He reminds me of like XQC.
Yeah, XQC on like way more mind-altering substances.
So XQC.
I don't think he does. Is XQC drunk all the time? Or on
he certainly looks
crack?
like he does.
Okay.
Maybe it's just me, I don't know.
I think he sounds like it.
He sounds like it, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, XQC, he could be like a new cameo in the Crudes.
Wow, you found a way to bring it back.
Brought the Crudes back. He could be a Crude. He kind of has the look. He could be the skinny one.
Okay.
Anyway. So he asks her, they kind of on the spot get married in Vegas so that he can get in his American citizenship and stay in the country.
Yeah, they go to like this little like
a little wedding, like just
wedding chapel.
It's Las Vegas. You can get a you can get a marriage for like $100.
Yeah, that's an actual thing too.
Yeah, if anyone's out, I feel like that's kind of an infamous thing about Las Vegas. Is you can just.
Why do you think people say what happens there stays there?
Yeah, exactly. So then the family finds out and they're pissed.
Oh yeah,
they are fucking mad. They catch wind that their son, who's supposed to be studying in America, got married to an American stripper, and they basically call their contacts, who's it's Yvonne's godfather, who's a priest in New York, Toros, and he gets his younger brother Garnik, and then this kind of thuggish sort of Russian guy named Igor, and they're like, we got to break them up. And the rest of the movie is an insane comedy of errors. It's how I would describe it.
Yeah, it turns into like that house invasion scene feels straight out of like Home Alone.
So there's like a 15-minute sequence where they show up at the house. Toros is on the way. Garnik and Igor go in because they get there first. And they confront Yvonne and Annie, and they're trying first just to confirm that they have a marriage certificate, and then to break them up. Yvonne runs out of the house.
Oh yeah, but is he naked?
No, he puts his clothes on.
He put his clothes on.
Annie's naked.
And
so she can't run. She can't follow him. She
has a shirt on.
She's wearing, but she doesn't have pants on.
She doesn't have pants
She can't run out. It's also winter in New York. You're not going to run outside in your underwear.
Yeah. You're gonna die.
So she's locked there. It's like fucking. Oh my god, Igor. Okay, do you want to talk about the characters?
Yeah,
I think you have to talk about the characters because they really drive everything. Everything is based on them and their relationships.
If this thing has anything similarities to Dogman, it has a great cast.
Dude, true that.
I was gonna first bring up, even though we don't really know much about her, Mikey Madison gives honestly a great performance as Anora Ani.
Yeah, she's a great main character.
Even though it's funny that she got casted, even though the reason why she got casted is because of the two roles where she gets set on fucking fire.
Oh yeah, she was in like 2 movies where she gets set on fire and screams a lot.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and one of the
Scream, like Scream 5 or 4.
No, it's like Scream 6 or 5.
Just that? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were that many.
Yeah, there's a bunch of screams. It's like one of the more recent ones. She gets set on fire and screams.
And Sean Baker was like, "Damn, she can scream. She does do a lot of screaming.
Just do a shit ton of screaming,
especially in that home like
invasion."
Yeah, basically, it's like we say home invasion. I mean, they come in. It's just like, okay. Well, before we get into it,
it's more like Home Alone, if anything.
I want to mention the guy who plays Yvonne is great. It takes genuine skill to play someone who has no charisma. As an actor, right? Like Yvonne has like, remember how hard we were laughing the first time she goes to his mansion, and she's on like the second floor in his bedroom, and he has this big view of like the city and the river and everything.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, it's a great view. And he says like in this really heavy accent, he says like, my view is better.
Yeah.
And we were laughing like he's got no game at all.
Yeah, he feels like one of like those uncharismatic fuckboys.
Like that's a perfect.
Yeah.
He has no. He basically just has. He's magnetic because he has money.
Exactly.
And you really get the impression that this was a guy who was really spoiled and by his parents because he was just born rich.
Mm-hmm.
He has no perspective. He doesn't think about anything that he does. He's like a complete hedonist.
Yes.
Essentially. He's just doing things that he enjoys, that he wants. He is a very shallow, uncharismatic person who's probably gonna like grow up and still just be like a total dickhead that because he's so rich he has to make it everyone else's problem. You know,
yes.
like people are gonna have to clean up after him constantly.
Oh yeah.
They've already been doing it. Like Garnick, there's a scene where he's like, fucking, oh my god. Like they're trying to call Yvonne and he's not picking up and he's like, dude, he's been doing this since he was 6.
Yeah.
like he's been on this shit since he was 6. And so this invasion scene, it's really so Garnick goes up with Yvonne and Annie's just sitting with Igor and Igor is like, hello, my name's Igor, and she just does not want to talk to him.
He's just like,
because they showed up and they want to get her divorced from her husband, who she's now in love with.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously she hates them. And she tries to she starts freaking out. She starts freaking out because of what's going on. This is after Yvonne runs. Igor doesn't know what to do.
Uh-huh.
So he bear hugs her from behind.
Yeah.
And just and he falls back on the couch. So she's on his lap. So she starts screaming rape.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so he ties her arms up with a telephone cord.
Yeah.
And she starts screaming. And then he stuffs a scarf in her mouth. They gag her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's a lot of people making snap decisions that don't really work out.
Yeah.
Because they're just in the moment. And they don't really know. No one is doing things cleanly in this movie. No one's a sleek professional.
Yeah, it's all what do you call it? Like snap of the moment type thing. Yeah, it's
spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment. Yeah, there you go. Where it's just we have to do this.
Totally emotional thinking, for the most part. 80% emotional, 20% logical.
Logic, yeah.
Because I mean, it's because you find out it's they show up, and I think you get the impression if this was a transporter movie, they'd be the elite hitmen goon squad.
Yeah.
But it's Toros is a priest. He's an Orthodox priest.
Uh-huh.
He comes there from a baptism.
And he's texting while
while he's holding the baby, and he's I gotta go.
I kind of gotta go. Yeah, I got shit to do. Sorry.
Garnick is I don't know what he does, but he really is just kind of a normal guy. You think Igor is Annie calls him a gopnik, a Russian thug kind of type. And you find out he just kind of looks like that. He's just a bald Russian guy who wears black and Adidas. And,
yeah.
And then he's actually kind of a soft guy.
Yeah.
He's just tough. He can be tough. Mm-hmm. I get the impression from Igor that he's a naturally kind of friendly, kind person.
Mm-hmm.
But
who just happened to be roped into this.
Circumstances mean that he can be a tough guy.
Yeah.
And he can take on that role, but it's not his natural state.
Uh-huh.
He kind of wants to be nice and help people and you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's he lives with his grandma. There's
right.
that scene where they're in the diner and Garnick got some pills from Igor.
Uh-huh.
And Annie's like, I want some fucking pills. Give me some pills. And he's like, oh, sorry, I don't have any more. And she's like, that's bullshit. You're totally a drug dealer. He's like, they're my grandma's.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, he has a bunch of stuff from his grandma's, and he's
Uh-huh.
like, he's great. I think he and Annie are really the two stars of the movie.
Right, and it's funny that those are the two that have the Oscar nominations because
I
they
think
totally deserve it.
deserve it.
Yeah,
I think, yeah. Mikey Madison?
Mikey Madison.
Yeah, she does a really good job playing this character who... Anora is funny because the situation she's in is really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you could say... I think that she is actually a very, very rational. Based on her circumstances and her kind of worldview. She acts pretty logically.
Yeah.
It's just that because of her worldview and certain things which we might talk about later.
I think, yeah.
Those aren't like always good decisions. But it always makes sense.
It makes sense in the moment of what's happening.
Yeah.
And you kind of like, okay, I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but you know what? For here, fine.
Yeah.
That kind of
like
thing.
where she's coming from and what like getting married and like even just falling in love with Yvonne.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the more you learn about her and what you inferred, and it's hard to talk about it because I feel like hard to talk about it before like the spoiler point. Because I feel
that's true.
I thought a lot about the ending of this movie.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to the ending.
Because I have a lot to say about it too.
And I think when I thought about it and I was trying to piece together why it happens like that, it really kind of helped me put the puzzle together on her character.
I'll go more into detail about it.
I'd love to, but in a second.
In a second, yeah.
Yeah, what did you want to say before that? Unless you had anything.
I don't think I had. It was a bit more about the ending, but I'll get to it.
I like how Igor is a great Igor's my man. And we were joking that like 90% of the movie is live Igor reaction.
And it is.
And it's funny because it's this very intentional editing choice.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where editing's so cool, right? So Igor and Annie, you kind of start to realize that they're more similar in how they fit into this situation a little bit. Like they have kind of similar rungs on the totem pole.
Yes.
Annie is basically this problem that Tauros and Garnick, who are they're like the real in charge guys. They're the contacts. Like Tauros is the godfather of Yvonne. Igor is just there to be muscle, essentially, and intimidation. Annie is a problem that they have to take care of.
Right.
And throughout the film, Igor says very little because he knows his place, basically. And I guess we're gonna kind of get into spoilers as we go. I would totally recommend this.
It's okay. So
it's a very graphic movie. I should say there's a lot of sex.
If for some reason there are younger people watching this, don't.
Which there aren't.
I doubt it, but like there's a lot of sex.
It's a very graphic movie.
Not so much on like violence.
No, not really.
But like more if you don't,
there is on-screen sex and a lot of cursing
and nudity
and shit.
Which if you don't like that, sorry.
And if your parents are in the room or you don't want to watch that with them. But this was a really great date night movie for us.
Weirdly enough, yeah. It's apparently coming back to theaters because they're showing a bunch of the Oscar nominees.
Totally check it out if it's playing near you.
If it's playing near you,
and you have like some friends or of a date or something. It's not a very romantic movie, but it is very funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, as the movie goes on, you kind of realize like, okay, there's all these shots. There's all these moments where a bunch of bullshit is happening, and it's like Tauros and Garnick are in charge. Annie's on the side because she's basically being kidnapped by them.
Yeah, kind of.
And then you'll just get a shot of Igor just kind of looking. Not really trying not to react, and he's not saying anything.
He looks like a cat gif for most of the movie.
He does. It's clear like he obviously has thoughts, but he's not sharing.
He's not saying, for the most part, anything throughout the movie.
Because he knows his place.
Exactly.
He gets ordered to do things Toros tells him like fuck up the store at one point.
Oh yeah, what?
When they get confronted by the store owner with the bat, like their friend.
Right.
And he's like, fucking Igor, take care of it. And Igor like grabs the bat from him and like fucking like smashes everything up. And there's one point where he does speak up, and it's the scene where they're getting the marriage officially annulled. Oh, you remember? We're in the office. They're in the office with everyone's there.
Okay,
everybody's there, and after this whole crazy night that they've been on,
this wild goose chase, basically
of this like 24-hour period, of trying. Oh yeah, because the whole movie is done trying to find Yvonne.
Follow that Yvonne.
Yeah, follow that Yvonne. To so that they can get him in a room with Annie to annul the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And after it's signed, Igor, for like the first time in the movie, I think he even stands up and he says, I think it would be appreciated if Yvonne apologized to Annie.
That's right. He does say that. I think is it when they're in the plane?
No. This is when they're in the office.
Is this when they're in the office?
When they're signing the paperwork.
Okay.
And
I think I do remember. Yeah.
He says,
right.
I think it would be nice if Yvonne would apologize to essentially leading Annie on and getting her roped into all this bullshit that he never bothered to tell her about.
Right.
And he just gets chewed the fuck out by the mom for that. She's like, shut the fuck up, dude. Who are you?
That mom's an asshole.
Yeah.
You kind of hate her for the 20 minutes she's on the screen.
Yeah. And I thought that was interesting because she's kind of like the only other female character in the movie. Like real character.
I would say of like a semi-main cast.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's like a couple. There's like some of the other girls who work at the strip club.
Yes.
But like of like a presence where you would put her on like the bill, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's And I thought that was interesting because it's mostly just Annie and a bunch of guys, a bunch of men.
Yeah, basically.
Who are all kind of bossing her around. And that the one time he speaks up, he's like immediately put down for it.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I guess I could. Honestly, the majority of the movie is just shit going wrong. It's them going somewhere. They try to find Yvonne. They look for Yvonne. Something like 5 things go wrong. They leave. Another thing goes wrong. They go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's just constant. Like completely unnecessary stuff too. Like when Garnick just gets car sick and starts throwing up. And Toros is like, "This is my wife's car.
Yeah.
I gotta clean it out. It's gonna smell like fuck it. What the." Like, it's not really worth it to go over it. It really, like, a lot of the stuff happens in that first bit, and then I'd say, like, maybe the last 20, 30 minutes. Like, on the plane. Everything after they get to the office.
Yes. Which isn't much left anyways.
Yeah. It's, like, maybe 25 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And the ending of the movie is really interesting. Do you want to talk about the ending now, or, like, kind of leading up to it?
I guess we could talk about it
Unless
now.
there's anything else you wanted to mention.
I guess about the movie in general.
Just like that you think before we talk about the ending.
I don't know. I feel like just the overall tone of it. I will say the tone of this movie before that ending, it really is just kind of like this. Like it feels like a classic madcap comedy.
It's a crazy, comedy of errors type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just everything going wrong.
Yeah. And I kind of like the movie for that.
Oh, it's really fun. I haven't seen a movie like this in forever.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, like, I can't think of a recent movie as, honestly, as funny as this.
We were laughing so fucking hard.
We laughed
the whole
almost
thing.
90% of the movie, we were laughing our asses off.
Really funny.
I kind of feel bad that I didn't see this in a theater. I think this would have been great with an audience.
I wouldn't mind going to see it in the theater.
I mean, it is coming back for us. It'll be in Cinemark at some point before the Oscars, at least.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind checking it out. No, it's really if it's either something you're gonna find really funny or really stressful. Hopefully
one or the other. Yeah.
Hopefully funny. if you can go with the flow of the movie.
Right.
Just like, remember that scene in the diner where Toros just starts arguing with people for no reason?
Is it that
like
same
some boomer shit?
Yeah.
Where he's like, fuck all the young people, they don't want to talk, they have no respect for the elders.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're being really loud. Can you I will not be loud. And they're just like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. They're just like, dude, stop.
So the ending of the movie is they get the marriage annulled. Annie is
she's pissed.
Totally crushed. Yeah.
She's upset.
But
at the same time, she's kind of like,
at that point, she's kind of realized that Yvonne kind of sucks.
Yeah. She's like, you know what? Maybe I'm fine with this.
Maybe it's for the best.
Yeah.
In like a bittersweet kind of way.
And she even kind of says like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm out.
Yeah.
And like even I
think she calls him a pussy or something.
She calls him a pussy, and even like Yvonne's dad starts laughing.
He starts laughing. He's like, oh my god, even this dumb American trollop.
Yeah, that's right.
So they basically are like, they're essentially paying Annie off, and what is it? She gets like a fee for it. Basically, she's gonna get 10,000.
They mentioned like 10,000 or
plus
something.
some other stuff for certain legal fees that they're gonna reimburse her for, or not reimburse her, but just
pay her in general.
I think it's from the annulment.
Yeah,
and all that. So I forget the exact legal thing, whatever. But she's gonna get money out of it. I mean, 10,000 is pretty nice for like a prostitute in Brooklyn.
Exactly. I mean, how much did Ivan pay her upfront in general for like that week?
I want to say for the week he said like they went to like 15,000.
Which, I mean, hey, that's a win-win
for
regardless.
7 days. Yeah. Yeah, and she probably had some other stuff from him and all that, but
by this point she could arguably be well off.
Definitely a lot better.
A lot better, at least.
If she has, like, loans or stuff. We're talking, like, really realistic. The movie doesn't get into any of that.
It doesn't get into any of that,
basically,
but, like, you know.
Financially, they're making sure that for her trouble, she's getting taken care of.
Right.
But emotionally, this fucking 24-hour whirlwind has been...
It's been
very taxing.
Exhausting.
Yeah. And they basically, like, take her back to the mansion. They're done. Everyone else is done with it, so they just send like literally like their minion Igor.
Yeah.
Like just keep watch over her overnight, and then in the morning take her back to the mansion or take her back to her apartment. And we were like, because there was like almost 20 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah,
and we're like, where's this left to go?
Where's this gonna go?
Because the pacing is so fast.
Yeah.
And it's so just like things just roll onto each other. The way the movie's shot is very on the ground, kind of hand recorded, which I think is a Sean Baker style type of thing.
Yeah, I noticed that with like especially like I don't know if you've seen. I think this is the only Sean Baker movie you've seen. Apparently,
I think probably, yeah.
I was gonna say this has kind of a similar sort of like Red Rocket.
Okay.
Where it's almost kind of like a madcap, like, okay, one by one style.
Yeah. But like the literal like cinematography is it's just someone not a lot of locked down shots.
It almost feels like very like sitcom-y in the way that it pans over to stuff sometimes.
The Office type of sitcom. Not like three angles.
I was gonna say like something like Arrested Development or like the Office.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Almost like hand cam type of. There's a cameraman walking around filming everything.
Yeah.
Which gives it this real energy, like this just like whipping around and stuff, and not very clean, and all that. It's very messy and kinetic.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it just slows down, and there's like a almost 10-minute scene that's just Anora and Igor
talking,
watching TV and smoking.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's obviously trying to be nice to her, and he's trying to be friendly and make conversation, and she just does not.
She's having none of it. That's right.
She's like, fuck you. And I thought this was interesting. And the most interesting part is because he tries to be like, oh, what does Anora mean? It's a nice name. She's like, I don't care what my name means. Because she says Igor is like a stupid name, and he's like, it's a nice name. It means warrior. And she's like, no one gives a fuck about that in America. She's really mean. She's being
a
really
bitch.
mean. I get it. Again, like, I totally get why she's like that.
Uh-huh.
She has nothing but spite for these people.
Right.
And she's at one point she says something like, "Oh, I bet that if Garnick wasn't there when you guys came into the house and Yvonne, I bet if it was just you and me, you would have tried to rape me."
Yeah, yeah.
And Igor's like, "What?
Yeah, yeah.
Why would I try to rape you?" And she's like, "Why wouldn't you?" And he's like, "'Cause I'm not a rapist."
Yeah.
I think about it, and it's like, then you get the actual final scene of the movie, which is him in the morning driving her to her apartment. Oh, and I should mention, when they come into the house, when Tauros gets there, and he gets up to speed on everything, Yvonne's already gone. He takes the wedding ring away from Annie.
That's right, yeah.
And he pockets it, because he's just like, fuck it. And he's like, we're just gonna flush all this, basically. Oh, we're gonna make this all disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the ring on him. And throughout the movie, because she cares so much about this marriage, one of the things she keeps hitting on is, I want my ring back. I want my ring back.
She kept saying that throughout the entire movie.
She keeps saying that she wants her wedding ring back.
Mm-hmm.
And before she gets out of the car, Igor pulls out the ring and he gives it to her. And it's like this really weird scene where it's practically a POV where she takes the ring and it's like a super close up of her face, like what he would be seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just staring at him like she doesn't even know how to react. And then really slowly she gets out of her seat and she climbs onto him.
Mm-hmm. Sits on his lap.
And she starts having sex with him.
Right.
And it's this locked down shot. Very different looking from the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
It's this locked down shot, and it's... The other thing is that every other time... There's a fair amount of sex in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But every other time sex occurs, it's very like... It's like a flash.
That's right.
It's like practically a montage.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It'll be like hard cut to them fucking.
And then
hard cut away.
Yeah.
That's to right. Like afterwards. Just to tell you that they just had sex or this is what they're doing, right?
Right. And
this is like... You see from the moment it starts, it's like you work into it, into her having sex with him, and it's awkward, and like he just kind of like doesn't, he's just kind of letting it happen, and he's not like visibly super into it.
Right.
And it's just really, you're just watching it, and there's this thing where it's snowing.
Yeah,
it's snowing, and they're sitting there for so long that the snow just starts piling up on the windows until like you can't see anything outside. The outside is completely blocked out by snow.
That's right.
Totally blanketed. And it becomes this very confined, intimate scene. And it's really like it's very intense.
Yeah, it is.
In a way.
You just kind of just sitting there like, oh, what's going to happen?
And the sex is like, it's very like slow. And like she starts working into it. And then it gets a little more intense. And then she's like leaning into him. And you remember like what happens, right? Is
oh yeah,
he goes in to kiss her.
That's right. Yeah.
And she slaps him.
He stops
and she calls him like an asshole or like a motherfucker or something. And then she just breaks down and starts crying. And he kind of like awkwardly
hugs her, or
pulls her like into his chest and like hugs her. And then then it cuts to black on the sounds of her crying and the engine running. And that's what the credits are.
Yep.
They had the credits play over that, over black. And we just like sat there.
We just sat there, yeah.
And we both just kind of tried to absorb that.
Yeah.
We usually we start talking kind of quickly, you know?
Right.
After we finish a thing.
movie? But this is like the first time in a long time,
Yeah.
or maybe even the first time in general, where we just kind of sat there after
Yeah.
the movie. We're just like, oh,
Like I didn't want to say anything.
Neither did I.
And yeah, and you didn't say anything, so I did, and I was like, and we let the whole thing play out until it was over, and we were like, we just kind of started trying to talk about the movie.
yeah,
And I later that night I like went to the kitchen to pace around because you were asleep.
okay.
Because I couldn't sleep, and I was thinking about it, and I was putting the ending together in my mind. And I want to know what you think about it first. How did you interpret it?
Yeah, because at first I was kind of like, it's kind of a odd way to end what is essentially like a madcap comedy.
Completely different tone.
Right. It almost kind of like changes the tones immediately in those last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it like maybe a few days later, and I was like, no, that seems like the fairest way to end that movie, especially if you just consider Anora's character. It makes sense, especially if you consider everything leading up to her. I felt like it started, especially, I got a hint of it during that plane, before they got into the plane. There's a little like, exchange between Ivan's mom and Anora where she's like, oh, I'm going to sue you. And she says something like, oh,
she's like, you're going to lose.
You're going to lose regardless. We have so much power. Yeah. What are you going to do?
We're going to lawyer you out.
Yeah. And I thought about that. And I'm like, oh, there's kind of a small connection to that in the ending where it's kind of like Anora comes to like, I don't know, like almost a self-reflection at the end of the movie.
You think that's what that is?
Almost, to where it's kind of like, well, this is just kind of who I am. The most that I can do is just like, well, this is, especially before that scene of her and Ivan talking in the mansion.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
Igor?
Oh, sorry, Igor.
Yeah.
It's like, and when she gives the he gives her the ring.
Yeah.
It's almost like her kind of registering like what a genuine nice person is. Because throughout the entire movie, you kind of get like the Cinderella-esque fabrication of what a perfect life is with Ivan.
It's like this dream. Yeah.
It's like almost a dream. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get to that part where she kind of has like a realization of what a genuine nice person is, an r/nice guy. And
yeah, sure.
And then she's just like, oh, okay, what do I do? What she always does to people who pay her back, have sex.
No, yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of, and then she kind of has like a breakdown moment. It's like, oh yeah, it's almost kind of like, oh shit, is this all I kind of am as a person? It's almost like, yeah, that's what I mean by like self-reflection. It's like,
I took it a little differently.
How did you take
it? Differently. So I was thinking about like how much of the movie, how many of the relationships in the movie and interactions are transactional. And like, if you think about the foundation of Annie and Yvonne's marriage, it's, first of all, he just paid her to like give him a lap dance.
Right.
Then he paid her to have sex. Then he paid her to be his girlfriend, and they got married. You find out later, this is basically so you could get a green card.
Yeah, it's to get a green card.
It is, and like, Yvonne he's not a deep person. He doesn't feel very deep emotions.
Right.
He doesn't really care about other people very much. I got this impression from Annie that she has been, this is how most of her relationships with people are. Like, you see it even at the start, she has this kind of, there's like one interaction between her and her roommate as she's leaving the house. And they just like hate each other.
Right.
They just hate each other, and it's like
okay, yeah.
I don't know. I get the impression like maybe she just needs to pay rent, you know?
Yeah, maybe she's just there for like room and board.
No, like she needs someone else, like a roommate, to help pay rent, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah. Sure.
Like she would never choose to live with that girl.
Right.
But she has to because there's a transaction that has to be made. You know, and this at the start, the opening is her at the club, and it's like a montage of her going through a bunch of different clients. And I mean, her job is like, it's essentially like the service industry.
Oh yeah,
where
definitely.
you're paid to be nice to people.
Exactly.
And she's talking to like her coworker on like a smoke break about this client that you see a little bit earlier. And of course, when she's with the client, she's like flattering him and all that. And then afterwards, she's like, "Oh my god, he was such a weirdo.
That's
I
right.
was so glad to be out of there." And it's like it's a total facade.
Yeah.
And everything in the movie, like everything is like, there's so much give and take in the movie where people do things to get things back. People do things to get something in return. And Igor does seem like at his heart he is a very nice person.
Right.
And he really does seem to care about her situation. He just doesn't have a lot of power to do anything about it.
Yeah, it's not really it's not really in his control to do anything.
Yeah. And so there's a couple scenes, like there's the scene where they're walking at night back to the car on the pier.
That's right. On
And she's
Coney Island.
Yeah, Coney Island, and she's freezing, and he gives her a scarf.
Yeah.
And there's a scene on the plane where he just kind of, apropos of nothing, pours her a glass of water.
Is it water or wine or whatever?
It's water.
Oh, it's water. Okay.
And like these little nice gestures that are like, but they're also like very kind of surface level. They're like immediate needs. Like she's cold, he gives her a scarf. He thinks maybe it's been a while since she's had something, so he gives her some water. When he gives her the ring, that's like the first time in the movie that, and maybe even in a while, that in her life, that she's had an experience where someone gave her something and wanted nothing in return.
Right.
There was no transaction. It was a gift. It was a real gift. They're probably never going to see each other again. This is just something that he just did this because he knew, and it's not money. I mean, feasibly she could sell the ring, right?
Sure.
But symbolically, it wasn't important to her throughout the movie because she could sell it off. It was important because it represented her marriage, and he knew it was important. And he did it for no other reason than he just wanted that it was important to her. And like you said, I think when she encounters that, it's like she almost can't fathom. Like she has no idea what she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Everything in her life is predicated on like, if someone gives me something, I have to do something back.
Right.
And because she usually doesn't have money or a lot of power, it's usually just her body that she gives in return. If she has sex with someone, that's her services.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
what she's used to.
It's almost this like compulsion that she has sex with him out of, that she initiates sex out of, where she's like, this is just, I don't know how else to repay you.
So here's this.
And I think the moment that he tries to kiss her, my reading of it is, I don't know why he did it. It could have just been maybe he thought that's what she wanted. Maybe
Just to
maybe
go
he
with it?
maybe he was
Into
kind
it?
of enjoying it. I don't know. It's a very weird situation. I don't know how the fuck I would respond.
Neither would I. Yeah.
But I think when he goes in to kiss her, it like confirms that.
Yeah.
It confirms that it was, giving her the ring was transactional. And that's why she gets mad at him.
Yeah, that's right.
She like takes it out. She's like, that's you did want something out of me.
I guess.
That was my interpretation. But yours also, I mean, it could be both.
It could be both.
It could genuinely be both. It's a really like messy, complicated, emotional thing.
Right.
And the movie doesn't elaborate on it. It just shows you the way people act. The movie rarely elaborates on people's emotions. It just shows you how they act on them.
Yes.
And so there's a lot to read into with it.
Oh, definitely.
A surprising amount, right? And you know, they really want you to focus in and zero in on like the person Anora is.
Yeah.
Who she is, and maybe what, like, you kind of, I don't know, you get the impression that she's had sort of Like, she doesn't talk to her family.
Mm-hmm.
She's living on her own. Well, not quite on her own, but basically, she doesn't seem like she has many contacts.
Right.
Doesn't have like a support network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's in the city. She's a stripper. It's almost like stereotypical kind of.
Yeah.
You know. And yeah, I don't know. I wasn't going anywhere with that sentence, but I just like the character that she is, and like she's not just a vehicle to be funny.
Oh yeah, definitely. No.
She's a person, and that's I don't know. That's part of what I like is it feels like, I call it a comedy, but the drama angle and again like the presentation, it just feels like life can be crazy, and to an outside observer like to the characters of the movie, this is serious shit going on. Like, they're all stressed as fuck.
Right.
Tauros is gonna get his ass beat by the parents if he doesn't get this marriage annulled. But to a third party observer, we can find it humorous.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, this is sometimes crazy shit happens in life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the whole it feels like someone's just walking around filming them kind of way that it's shot. And these are real people, and at the end of the day, they have lives and they're complicated and they have a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, and they just kind of have to do it.
They just go through. They go through with it. And I really like that about this movie.
Yeah.
It had a lot like Dogman. It was very funny, but it had a strong human element.
It's weird that I can say that about both of those movies.
That's why it's the Treehouse trilogy.
I guess it is, yeah.
Yeah. Nora, she's a lot like Petey, like she doesn't know her dad. Is there anything else you want to say about Anora?
I don't think so. Other than good luck at the Oscars.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't get fucked by the shitty
Emilia Perez
movie musical.
I think that the trans actress is also nominated for Best Actress, and I hope it goes to Mikey Madison. I can't believe I'm rallying against the trans woman.
Fuck them. That's real solidarity.
Yeah.
You can't accept cringe trans peoples.
No, yeah.
I almost said a different word that I can't say in public, but I can say around you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I give him the permission. It's fine.
That's fine. I've had transphobic slurs used against me.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. And yeah, that's not a joke, by the way.
What's the fucking, the meme of like the soldier protecting the child from like the knives and the bombs?
Oh, yeah.
That's the kid is like trans people, and I'm the Tigan is the soldier, and the bombs are like transphobia. I will take it. Dude, okay. You've seen Emilia Perez twice now.
Not even out of my own volition. I just happened to have seen it twice. It is the only
Sorry. Aquafina was in a show called what?
Talk. Oh no.
Talk? TAW.
Uh-oh.
Did it have a sequel? Perhaps Talk 2? Sorry. Emilia Perez.
Yeah, it is the only one nomination, Best Picture nominee that I've seen twice, which I don't like saying. That's kind of feels a little embarrassing to say. I don't know how many of the Best Picture nominees that I've seen, actually. Now that
The nominees? Oh, wait. This would be 2025. Sorry.
Yeah, it'd be 2025. Let me see what of the nominations. So I've seen Emilia... they're all up there, babe.
Oh, okay. I was going to go to the Wikipedia thing.
Yeah, you're me.
Best Picture?
So I guess I've seen Anora, Emilia Perez, and Wicked.
You saw Wicked?
I did see Wicked.
When did you see Wicked?
Fucking on a fucking whim.
When?
I think like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. By yourself?
Yeah, just because, everybody and their mom has seen it. Like, I guess
mostly mom. It's kind of a mom.
Wicked's a mom
musicals. Wicked's a mom musical.
Did I see? I didn't see Dune. I guess so. It would just be Anora, Emilia Perez, and Wicked.
Yeah.
And I doubt that. I'm unfortunately doubt that Anora's gonna be the one that gets it. I don't want to jinx it.
It would be so fucked up. Like, I haven't seen Wicked. I haven't seen The Substance,
Which I hear is good.
I'm still here. I have heard that both of those are. I heard they're both good.
The Substance and
Wicked.
Yeah, Wicked's
and
good.
Anora. And I'm like, dude, if Emilia Perez wins, I haven't even seen the performance, but I'm sure it's bad.
Well, you saw that
cringe.
You saw that snippet of the musical number.
I've seen. Okay, so there's a musical number from Emilia Perez that's been going around as a meme. That's really fucking funny. It's penis to vagina, and I watched that clip, and in my mind, I was like, "Is this the worst musical number in the film?" And you said no.
I said no.
And that blew my mind.
There are worse musical numbers in that movie.
That is crazy. And you played me another one.
Uh-huh.
The Selena Gomez one. And I was like, wow. This movie is a psyop.
A Republican psyop.
That's what you said. You said this movie is like a Republican psyop to make trans people look bad.
And I totally believe it. I mean, it's made by a French dude, so that's
They're fucking French. I made a Blue Sky post, and it was the thing about. Hang on, it was when Megalopolis came out, and it had those interactive moments. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
It was the interactive thing, and then sorry, where the fuck? Yeah, and then the fucking Emilia Perez, how Mexican people and trans people did not like Emilia Perez.
Oh yeah,
and it was those two like headlines, and I said, very pleased that there seems to be a race by filmmakers to become the David Cage of movies.
That's really funny.
We're gonna reinvent. I said that when Megalopolis came out, and I said, like, wow, how much money did Coppola spend to invent a David Cage game? Man, that shit's funny. Yeah, go see Anora instead of fucking Emilia Perez. Go see probably any other movie.
You know what? See any of those Best Picture nominees. I haven't seen half
Dogman.
Yeah, see Dogman.
Is that nominated or is that too old?
That would Dogman?
Is that
that would be for next year.
It would be. Anora came out
last year. It would be 2024.
Okay.
So it counts.
What's the cutoff? Is it like November to something? Or?
It would be the cutoff would be December.
Okay.
Dogman came out January.
Yeah. Okay. That sucks. That means it's probably gonna get snubbed. Because January movies always get snubbed, don't they? Because they've been so long. It's been so long since anyone. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that happens with the Game Awards.
I think you're thinking of Game
Awards. If something comes out early in the year for the Game Awards, it often gets snubbed. Because the funny thing is, it's actually funny. Because the reason that might happen less with the Academy is because a lot of the voters don't actually watch a lot of movies. So they're like, oh fuck, I gotta watch stuff. So they'll like marathon shit. But the people who vote on the Game Awards actually play video games.
Oh yeah.
So they'll play it when it's new and it comes out, and then they'll forget about it because it's like 8 months later.
Exactly. That's why Astrobot won. It's probably why Astrobot won.
No, Astrobot won because people really liked it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, people actually played it and liked it.
Oh, okay, that's what. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there was a recency bias with Astrobot.
Because I was like, if they didn't play those games, they would have went to Dark Souls or Sun.
Oh yeah, that was the easiest one. The weirdest thing about Erd Tree getting nominated was that they changed the rules to get it to allow it to be nominated, and then it didn't win, which is really funny.
I wonder if they'll switch it back.
Maybe. My thing was they should have a category for DLC.
DLC, yeah.
Right?
Why not?
They should throw. Yeah, they could be.
Jeff Keighley's just fucking lazy.
I don't even think it's lazy. It's just that someone's just got to have the idea. They should have because it's silly. Like I think that you should consider that to be a different. That's an add-on. It's not a new product.
It's not. It's
an add-on to an existing thing.
Right. It's like if they nominated that Cuphead DLC as like its own game. It's like
Yeah, it would be
no.
because people try to draw the line at like, well, when does it count as a game? Just call it DLC.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if it's like a fucking Street Fighter 6 costume pack DLC, it's probably not going to get nominated.
No,
But if
yeah.
it's like, you know what I would nominate? I'd nominate that damn Castlevania Vampire Survivors DLC.
Yeah, your way.
That shit was genuinely like a sequel.
Okay.
That was it. It is the Vampire. I think I told you the Vampire Survivors DLC. I want to say makes up half the game's roster. It like doubles it.
Okay.
It's like an insane amount of content.
All right.
Anyway. Do you feel like talking about Stardust Crusaders?
I'm gonna be honest. We can, but I'm not gonna have that much to say.
Okay. I guess just to update, because we finally finished part 3 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Forever.
Like
forever.
today. It took a really long time because part 3 of the anime is like probably 10 episodes too long.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 seasons, and the first half is a little weak. Not as weak as I think I remember it being.
It's not horrible, but it's...
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll be right.
Okay.
I think this will be one of the few seasons that I'm not gonna remember.
Of the
parts in general.
Just okay, because part 3 is 2 seasons. It is 2 seasons.
I'll just
to the part. People usually just refer to the parts and not the seasons.
I'm just gonna refer to the part as is. It's probably not gonna be the one that I'm gonna hold at the highest regard. I'm gonna predict right now. I don't know what the rest of them it's gonna be like. I just think that I'm gonna enjoy the other ones more.
You know what's funny is that used to be a very unpopular opinion until more of the manga got adapted.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, generally it's been really interesting as someone who got into the series around 2016, 2017. Yeah, 2016. It was like a little after part 4 ended airing.
Okay.
Like that spring or something like that. Yeah, that would have been the timing. I remember the general consensus, the popular consensus was, oh yeah, just get through part 1 and 2 because Hamon's boring. And then the stands is when it's like real. The stands is when it gets good. Part 3 is also extremely popular in Japan. And
it seems to be the most popular in general because it's the one that's marketed the most in terms of like merchandise.
Yeah, if you're gonna make like, okay, when JoJo is in Jump Force, it's Jotaro and Dio, right?
Oh yeah, it seems like Jotaro or Dio are like the like when you think JoJo, those are the characters that you will think of.
When the manga was running, part 3 was like I think the first 2 parts, well, they were successful enough to continue to a third part, right? Mm-hmm. To keep on carrying on, but part 3 was when it got really real. Like when the series got very popular and Jotaro became a very
almost
recognizable...
kind of like the mascot of JoJo.
Yeah.
He's like the main face of it.
He became a very recognizable shonen protagonist.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's, a couple of reasons. He has a very distinctive look. Mm-hmm. It's sort of where... It's funny because part 3 is where he starts to draw the main JoJo having like one outfit.
Oh yeah,
right. Jonathan and Joseph like change outfits a lot.
Outfits, yeah, that's
because Araki loves fashion.
Uh-huh.
Jotaro is when he just designs like one look and it's a really strong look.
It's like Daria or something like that.
What?
Like just having like a general main outfit and kind of having it be like the most memorable outfit. I guess
that's just a really. I
was gonna say I don't know, SpongeBob or something. Sure.
I just think it's funny you went to Daria first. Fuck! Are you getting a fucking call from your dad? Oh my god, I'm gonna pause the fucking podcast. Okay, Cat's ringtone is a remix of the D's Nuts clip.
Yeah.
And her dad called her to tell her to get more hours at work.
Yeah.
Stop being a broke bitch.
I'm not broke, thankfully. So.
Sorry, what the fuck was we... Anyway, I thought it was funny you went to Daria first as a comparison to Jotaro.
Yeah,
I thought you were like as a character.
I mean, I don't know. Sure.
Daria would say good grief.
She would, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so part 3 was when the series kind of blew up in popularity. And it also, like, it introduced stands, which are one of the most iconic, influential things about JoJo.
I feel like this is what the thing that JoJo's known for at this point.
Probably, like, one of the biggest like, it's especially now that the anime has become very popular. If a character ever has, like, a summon thing, people will just generically say, oh, it's their stand.
Yeah.
The same way any laser sword is like a lightsaber kind of thing.
Right.
Or the Force or something like that. Um, yeah, so a lot of people, part 3 is like the big one. I don't want to say there's like, people don't hate part 3 now, but there is, I think once you watch like the rest of the series, it's like, no, you can see he's like working on it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There is a long time spent in part 3 with him figuring out how he wants to write stands. And I think unfortunately a lot of the characterization takes a backseat.
Mm-hmm.
I think parts 1 and 2 actually have pretty strong characterization.
I think they actually... I'm not even really a big fan of parts 1 or 2, but they have better characterization.
Like Jonathan, Dio, Caesar, Joseph, even Pillarman, you know. Suzy Q, like those are pretty... Speedwagon, like those are pretty memorable characters with like, oh, they have like a thing, I remember them, they're pretty likable. They're not very deep, but
they're memorable.
Yeah, they're memorable. I think Araki's really good at smacking you in the face with something very memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think about like the part 3 characters and I'm like, what do I have to say about Avdol?
That's funny. I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, that's Avdol and Kakuan I think suffer the most from it.
Yeah.
Where
they have iconic moments, but like as characters, are you really going to remember them?
Yeah, it's like, I think there was kind of a I feel like Araki on rewatch, I feel like Araki wrote Avdol to be like, oh, this is gonna be like the mentor character, and then he realized that the way he wanted to write stands, like that's not really how it works. Like characters, and this is a thing going forward, characters don't really like grow their stands. It isn't like a regular shonen where it's like I'm learning a new technique. It's kind of just they have their stand.
And they use it.
And they use it in either the one way or they come up with new creative ways to use it, but it's them figuring it out. Mm-hmm. And it's their own cleverness.
Right.
And so Avdol, like, he feels like a mentor character who has nothing to teach.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like, I don't know, one of the few things, there's 2 moments that I point to and I say, I really think Araki should not have done this because I think it makes the story worse.
Okay.
The other one's in part 7 and it's a very, very long ways off. Mm-hmm. But I really don't like that he brought Avdol back.
I feel like there was no reason to in general.
Yeah. So I think I told you there was a period of time where he was playing around with the idea of having Whole Horse join the crew.
Which I think I would have preferred.
You would have preferred because I
like Whole Horse.
We got to clean the seat whenever there's a Whole Horse episode.
God,
yeah. He didn't do it because he thought he would have been too similar to Polnareff in terms of like the group dynamic.
Sure.
And he just I don't know. He was like, it was his plan to bring Avdol back. Like it wasn't a spur of the moment thing, as a lot of people kind of assume it is, but it feels like a spur of the moment thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think Avdol's so black, he's the first one to die twice.
He was.
He is.
He was the first one to die twice.
Dude, when he came back and I was like, oh my god, is Cat gonna pop off because Avdol's back? The only thing you said was, he's black from the dead.
I did.
Is that a Cleveland Show quote?
I think that's a Cleveland Show clip that I said. Yeah. No, that's what they said when they brought him back after they canceled the Cleveland Show. I'm like, oh, cool.
That's what you said. Yeah. Okay. I think I'll always like Joseph because he's such a scamp. Mm-hmm. He's such a lovable guy. I don't love Jotaro. How do you feel about Jotaro as a protagonist?
He's fine.
Yeah.
I definitely think he's going to stand out despite being the most, the one that people think of when they think of like the Joestars,
Yeah.
he's probably gonna be one of the ones I'm gonna remember the least in terms
So
of personality.
the thing is, I don't want to color your perception like too much or your expectations, but Jotaro is like he's in the other parts.
Oh, is he?
He's in parts 5. He is in sorry, not no. Jotaro's in part 4. Straight up.
Okay.
Which is like 10 years. Jotaro is in multiple parts, sometimes in very small roles. Like in part 5, he's in there for like 2 seconds.
Okay.
But he shows up and you watch him get older.
Mm-hmm.
And part 6 is like he's Jolene's dad.
Right.
So you see him go from like 17 years old to like a 50-something-year-old man who's like a dad. And Jotaro as a character, I find very interesting when you examine him as like a whole over the course of his life.
Mm-hmm.
But as a protagonist, he is like a little minimal.
Yeah.
He's not doing a whole lot. He's there to be Clint Eastwood.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who's his direct inspiration. I think he's fine. I don't know. I do like him a bit. Like it is kind of fun that he just punches shit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I love Polnareff. How did you feel about Polnareff?
I'd say either him or Joseph of the main cast were probably like the ones the most personality.
Yeah.
The ones that I found myself clean. I mean, it seems like in general the writers really like Polnareff.
Yeah, it feels like Polnareff gets all the character development.
Yeah,
it feels like it all gets dumped onto him.
It feels like he's the main character at some points.
That's what I thought when I first watched the show.
I'm like, it's Jotaro, really?
Yeah,
Polnareff
feels. Funny enough, that also kind of happens in part 5.
And I know that he comes back in part 5. That's right.
Well, no. There's another character in part 5 who people kind of joke is the real main character.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
I love Giorno a lot. I don't really agree with them with that, but that is kind of a thing where Araki will occasionally write sort of. He kind of alternates like hot and cold protagonists. Jotaro is a cold protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph would be a hot one.
A hot one. And
usually with the colder protagonists, he has another character who kind of fills the shoes of like the really active character.
Yeah, definitely.
Polnareff to me always felt like a kind of middle ground between Jotaro and Joseph, where he's like kind of a goofball by nature,
mm-hmm.
but he's got like he goes hard sometimes when he has to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like half of it feels like a third of the fights start with him going to the bathroom.
Yeah, I had to think about that one.
There's a point. Do you remember in like the fucking Mariah Bastet fight when Joseph goes to the bathroom? No, he says something like Polnareff's in the bathrooms, and then someone says something like, when Polnareff goes to the bathroom, sometimes it doesn't turn out very well. It's like stuff happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't. Kakyoin, I think, also kind of suffers from him just being out of the story for a really long time.
Yeah, when they bring him back, I'm like, oh, yeah, he's here.
Yeah, he's out for a little too long.
A little too long, yeah.
I think that there should have been a fight where someone tried to attack him in the hospital.
Yeah, and somewhere they can reintroduce him and not just be like, oh, hey, you're back.
Yeah, which is how it is.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I think that at least one fight probably could have been like gone there.
Instead of him getting his dad literally killed by Dio immediately.
Yeah, no, because it's like well, okay, so first just to like finish my thought while it's still in my head, because I'm coming up with it on the spot. But like, oh, what if he's in the hospital and he's getting attacked while his eyesight's still gone, and he has to use like Hierophant's tentacles to like sense around and shit,
mm-hmm.
and like come up with some clever thing to defeat. And Araki really likes writing solo fights.
Yeah, it seems like that.
Yeah.
Something that's been a constant for part 3 especially. I've noticed.
Araki has said that his idea of like a hero comes from like American Western films.
Yeah, and I can tell.
And like Dirty Harry and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So to him, because like there's a lot of shonen that's like power of friendship.
Yeah.
Araki is really into the idea that a hero is someone who has to be able to fight by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so
like Barnyard.
Exactly.
Strong man stands up for others.
Exactly. Like Ben when he pulled his stand out against those coyotes. Against Vanilla Ice. So that's
someone edit that.
Yeah. So even when there's like a joke, like every like half JoJo fights are just like every other character standing around commentating while the main character does the fight.
Oh yeah, from beginning to end.
Yeah.
That's kind of a thing.
That's why. It's because to him that's like, well, they have to fight on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally they'll team up and stuff, but that's like very rare, and that's like prove a point about things.
Yeah.
Usually about like the bond between two characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like Polnareff and Iggy. Like, oh, actually they do like each other.
Right.
So yeah, it is just kind of like Kakyoin just sort of shows up and it's like, oh fuck, Kakyoin's back.
Yeah.
Cool. And then all he does is the next fight he's involved in is getting his soul taken out by Darby the Younger,
mm-hmm.
and then getting hole punched by Dio.
It's like okay.
Well. He does reveal the secret. His best moment is easily the 20-meter emerald splash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like his maximum. That's like his level 3 super in like every fighting game he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Is that scene essentially? Because that's like his one big moment. You liked Iggy.
Yeah, I like dogs. You know.
You like the doggy. You like that he farted.
I like that he farted.
So that cat loved it when Iggy would fart on people's faces.
Yeah.
It's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you said you didn't have that many thoughts on part 3.
I don't have much to say. That could change for the other parts, but here I'm like, it's fine.
A lot of part 3 is in like the rigmarole of week-to-week stand fights.
Yeah, and some of them will just kind of vary. Some of them I'll be like, oh, that was
there's some fun ones.
There's some. I'm not saying that
even in the first half.
I'm not saying that there isn't, but most of it's just like, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, there's
fine.
There's some cool episodes. It's just, I think part 3 easily has the most fights in the series. I want to say.
And it kind of gets a little tiring.
Yeah, there's like too many. I'd have to
many.
double check, but I'm pretty sure it has the most. Part 4 maybe has an equivalent, but part 4 is, it feels every time. You'll see. It's handled differently.
Okay.
In part 3, it's kind of one and done. In part 4, I guess this isn't really a spoiler, but they'll have a fight with someone, and then that person just kind of shows up again and is like a member of the main cast.
Okay.
And it kind of builds. The fights serve to like build out the setting.
Sure.
And it feels a little. Yeah, it feels better in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. Maybe I just like my anime more if you have memorable characters with personalities that I can latch onto.
I think he gets a lot better at that as the series goes on.
I that's why I have a thing for like my dungeon meshies or my don to dons.
Oh,
I know you don't agree with
sorry.
that.
No, I'm not going to say anything.
I know you're not going to say anything. But like, you know, having a memorable cast, I think helps me like your show more. Stardust doesn't have the most memorable group of characters, but
no,
maybe that'll change with the other parts. We'll see. I'm sure by the time that I get to like the other parts.
Araki gets so much better at writing group dynamics.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Part 5 is practically like him redoing the structure of part 3, but what if everyone was really fun and memorable? That's part one of the reasons I love it so much.
That's what I'm looking forward to see if this actually, if this improves, and I'm sure it will.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you did. I was really excited to see your reaction to when they do the special version of the opening with the time stop.
You're a nerd.
That's so cool. I remember when I saw it, I was like,
fun.
what?
It's cool.
They fucking, whoa.
That's
cool. So neat. Yeah. So I don't think I had anything else to talk about with Stardust Crusaders or anything else on the agenda. Do you have anything you wanted to bring up?
No.
About anything?
See you at part 4.
See you in part 4.
I don't know how it'll turn out, but I'm sure it'll be fun.
And I don't think you have anything else you want to talk about, unless you do.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to draw this to a close. Thank you so much for, if you've been listening this far, thank you so much for listening to us ramble. If you have a question, feel free to leave it down in the comments below, but please phrase it in the form of a question, because I'm not just going to read your thoughts out loud. Check out my most recent video. It's on Goosebumps, a game and a book and a TV episode. And I have a Patreon and a coffee. And you want to do like a synchronized goodbye on like 1?
Sure.
3, 2, 1. Bye.